So
Hi, folks.
I'm going to do any of you feel like you have a good singing / Jack Skellington voice?
You mean sound like Danny Elfman? No.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nope.
John, you're a musician. You can sing, right?
I play guitar, bro.
So, and you sing, right?
I play the radio.
I did metal vocals in a metalcore band in the early 2000s.
So you could sound like Oogie Boogie then.
No, because Oogie Boogie actually sang well.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just do my best to do this.
What?
Thumbs up if you guys. Oh,
Hi,
we have
folks.
chat comments. Hold on. Oh, we don't. Okay.
No, we don't.
Thumbs up if you guys are ready to go with the actual episode. I think I went through my whole checklist.
You hope. Bwahaha. Ready or not, here we go.
Great. I'm going to have the Fuji stuck in my head now. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
You heard.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. So thumbs up if you are ready to actually record the podcast. Okay. Hey, Fresh. All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3.
Wait for it.
What's
Sorry. It's gonna
that
be one of
emoji
those
doesn't
nights.
count. That doesn't count. Hey,
Sure
Bob.
it does. All right, you haven't started yet. Fine, I'll give you that. No.
Yeah.
Edna mode.
All right.
John is DMing. Yes, he's dungeon mastering the show tonight. Exactly. All right. Roll for me. I'm going to roll a natural 20 for the singing performance I'm about to give you.
I need you to make a
Yeah.
performance check for me, please.
I got 50. All right.
Very good.
Are you done with the sounds now, Paul?
No.
Okay. Plug ears. Thanks, Bob. What's this? What's this? There's retro everywhere. What's this? Rewinding podcast. Do I dare? Nah, that's okay. That's close. That's pretty good. I felt like. What's this? What's this? There's retro everywhere. What's this? Rewinding podcast. Do I dare? What's this?
Do I dare?
Okay.
Is that supposed to be a question mark?
Sure. Make it apostrophe question mark. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for.
It's an
All right.
Elvish.
I dirty one at that. Whatever, Bobo. Okay, here we go.
Ew, why is it
Take two.
dirty?
What's this? What's this? There's retro everywhere. What's this? Rewinding podcast. Do I dare? What's this? Episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitors, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I believe that Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Interrupter Powers. Christmas or Halloween, Paul?
It's like more on the Halloween side.
All
Definitely.
right. Also, for this discussion of the film, Nightmare Before Christmas, we welcome back aboard Dungeon Master at Playing Games with Strangers, John. How are you? Hey, John.
I like how you said welcome back aboard, and I've never done the show before.
You know what? It's nice having you here,
mode.
John. Calling out the captain. How dare you? All right.
So what if he's reading from a script? It hasn't been updated.
Try that again, I guess. And Paul, did you want to do your what is
No,
this?
it's just cute. It doesn't fit. Doesn't flow there.
Okay. Also for this discussion of the film, The Nightmare Before Christmas, we welcome aboard for the first time Dungeon Master of.
I'm the Dungeon Master.
Dungeon. Well, the dungeon
Dungeon
master.
Master. That is an edit mode.
Okay.
Also, for this discussion of the film, The Nightmare Before Christmas, we welcome aboard for the first time Dungeon Master at Playing Games with Strangers, John. How are you? Hey, John.
Hey, that's me. That sounded very natural and like we haven't had to do it multiple times.
Exactly. I'm so glad you know the intonation of my voice so precisely that you can just register that so well. But
I always recognize what you're trying to say.
I am more interested in Halloween or Christmas for this movie.
Hallowismus?
No, I need one or the other.
Christmasween?
I'll go with Christmas. Okay. And in addition, we are glad.
This is a Christmas movie.
Christmas. Okay. All right. And in addition, we are glad to have back aboard clergy officer of the pod, Dallas Marshall Pandamora. Hey,
hello.
Dallas. Hello, Dallas.
So glad to have you guys here on the bottom shelf. Super excited to have
you are on our podcast.
Is that what's
happening? Not on the bottom shelf.
Wait a minute. If this is being broadcast on the bottom shelf, who are we to say that it isn't?
Dallas, are we going to simulcast this?
Yeah, are you simulcasting it?
Well, welcome, listeners. We're glad you're here.
You're welcome to simulcast it, but if you're not, then it's not the bottom shelf.
But check them out if you dare.
Yes, definitely do that. And Playing Games with Strangers. But, Dallas, I'm more interested right now. Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween or a Christmas movie? What's it?
Why not both?
Because you have to pick one.
Why?
Because I say so.
The captain?
In
the
Dungeons
captain.
and Dragons world, this is called railroading, sir.
I'm
Objection,
with
Your
John.
Honor, leading the witness.
I'm a fan of calling it both, but we'll go Christmas.
All right. 2 Christmases, 2 Halloweens. Very nice.
I'd like
Halloween.
to change my answer to neither. I really enjoy watching this right after Halloween. It's a good transition.
It's a Thanksgiving movie.
Now that you have a not so quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Sure. The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie Boogie's Revenge, was released in 2004 on the PlayStation 2 Japan and in 2005 on the Xbox in Europe. It is rated KA and developed by Toes Software. It was published by Capcom, and the music composed by Kengo Hagiara and Masaya Tsumoto. The reception of the game was mostly mixed, but the average score of it was around 65%.
That's fantastic. Why don't you give me the numbers, like units sold and all that, Paul, and like whether or not it did well at the merchandise store, the department store.
This cannot be substantiated since precise records were not kept after Tannen shot a newspaper editor who printed an unfavorable story about him in 1884.
I think you're mixed up, Paul. It's
What do you mean?
unsubstantiated because we're not talking about the game. We're talking about the movie.
Well, that would have been great if you brought that to my attention yesterday. I played this game for no reason. I have to go back, fine, and rewatch the movie, right?
Yes. Do
All
that
right,
now.
hold on. All right. The Nightmare Before Christmas, the movie, was released
Wait. No, not the movie like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The movie. It's
No. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Was released October 29th, 1993. That one?
Yes, that one. Thank you. Please
Okay.
proceed.
It runs an hour and 16 minutes. It's rated PG, and it was directed by not Tim Burton, but Henry Selick.
Mm-hmm.
It was written by Tim Burton, though, and Michael McDowell and Caroline Thompson, with lead stars being Danny Elfman, Chris Sarandon, and Catherine O'Hara. The music was composed by some guy that Timmy Burton likes to use.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah, him. Yeah. All right, you guys ready for the box office trivia game?
I am ready. Dallas, John, are you guys ready?
Let's go.
Fantastic. And anyone in live here in chat is welcome to join us as well. Go for it, Paul.
Well, before we do that, it was released October 29th, so doesn't that make this a Halloween movie?
Say so.
Anyway.
Only if you want to say that White Christmas is because it was recorded by Bing Crosby in the month of June.
Well, most Christmas movies are filmed and recorded in the summertime anyway, but to be released anyway. All right, box office trivia time. The Nightmare Before Christmas was made for about $24 million and earned over $77 million at the box office.
Fantastic.
Yes. Given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movie amongst the movies released theatrically in 1993. This time we'll go for the top 50.
50. All right. John, what is your guess for where it ranks in the top 50 for 1993 movies?
Well, I don't remember it because I was alive at the time, and I don't remember it being like it became a cult hit after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say 45.
45. All right. So kind of low. Dallas, how about yourself?
Man, 93. I was pretty young. I don't remember a lot of big things coming out there that stick out. So I'm gonna shoot for somewhere in the 25.
No
25?
big things like Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Again, my memory's like,
Yeah,
'cause I was doing a lot of transition time frames during that time frame. So.
Yeah.
no, if I didn't have the list right in front of me, I wouldn't have known Jurassic Park came out that year either. So don't worry. about
Okay.
it.
You
I
know
just
what
thought
else
you
came
had it.
out that year? Super Mario Brothers the movie. Check it out on the bottom shelf in the month of November.
Yeah, do that. Except you're on Retro Rewind Podcast now. Check out our review of Super Mario Brothers, the movie, which is out right now at retrorewindpodcast.com/6. But don't go away now. Listen to this. So my guess, I'm going to say, let's see. I'm going to say the year Christ died, because that's
33?
33.
Is that your version of saying $1 on this show?
No, that'd be number one. One
Or
would be $1.
50.
Or yeah, or 50. Let's see.
It just struck me as very Price is Right.
Okay.
Sure, we can go that way.
And then in chat, Babo's guess is 42, as he's wont to do. And D. Tungsten guessed 27. And Dallas put in the Mario Brothers movie link. Thank you, Dallas. Paul, where did it end up in the actual box office?
Well, according to the-numbers.com, it came in at 21.
21. Oh, okay. Dallas just missed it. Going over. Sorry, Dallas. You don't win the prize. No one wins the prize except for... Well, no one does because we all busted.
Come on now.
But thank you for those. But no, I mean, Dallas wins because he is the closest. Thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we will get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
From Touchstone Pictures. 'Twas the night before Christmas, but in the land of Halloween, it was decided that this year something new would be seen. Surprised, aren't you? From Tim Burton, the director of Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands, comes a motion picture experience unlike any other. Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
And what did Santa bring you, honey?
Rated PG. Coming this month to a theater near you.
Yes, and what did our memories bring to mind for The Nightmare Before Christmas? Was it a zombie head? Was it something else? Let's find out in our memory mind meld synopsis for The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's Halloween, and the town's elaborate song and dance routine scares up quite the fanfare, ending with a dramatic entrance of Jack, the Pumpkin King, who likes a girl but can't be with her because of Oogie Boogie Sack Guy owns her, thus making me realize that I would rather watch a movie about Oogie Boogie. Prince Humperdinck grows immune to his Halloween drug, so he searches for a new obsession through a forest, which, for plot reasons, has the ability to transport to all the holidays and goes to Christmas. After taking Santa's sack, Jack turns Halloween land into Christmas 2 with his amazing sleigh ride, a sequence which somehow kills Oogie Boogie, and Jack gets the corpse bride. Jack finally realizes that stealing Christmas like the Grinch doesn't spark joy. Well, isn't that a bunch of... deception? I mean, there were some things in there that were accurate, but on the whole, I'd say that was deceptive. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? John, what was your prediction? Not your final rating, but your prediction for this film.
That I was going to feel after I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tragic.
Coming out strong. Dallas, how about you?
Oh, classic.
Classic. Coming out
Also
strong on the
coming
other
out
side.
Yeah.
Paul, how about yourself?
I'm going to come out with a strong nostalgic.
Strong. Fine.
Okay, Switzerland.
For me, I was kind of likewise like nostalgic. It'd been forever since I saw it, but I was like, it may hold up. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll like it now because more in recent years in my adulthood, I've liked other stop motion. I didn't used to like stop motion as a kid, but these days, like with Kubo and the Two Strings, several of the Leica movies, I like. I think stop motion is like, I may appreciate this now, but. It'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked most about The Nightmare Before Christmas. Let's go to Bauer.
Best three.
And by the way, you will notice I'm struggling with a cold through this, but thank you for
didn't,
listening.
but thanks for bringing it out. I don't think I'll notice it now that you said it.
You're going to give me a computer virus?
Yeah, that's how computer viruses work, don't you know?
Anyway,
let's start with John. What's one thing you liked about this film?
I liked. Yes, that's it right there. It was that I enjoyed about this movie, and I cannot lie about it. Especially when a itty bitty thing with a great big waist comes around and puts it in my face.
I did see an anaconda in this movie.
Oh, my none unless she's got buns, son.
All right, makes sense.
This isn't Sir Mix-a-Lot. Can you get to Nightmare Before Christmas, please?
Who he actually was from Seattle, which is in the state where I live.
Fantastic. Is that where this was filmed?
What now? Okay, so no, I liked the concept, the idea behind the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the idea of I'm sorry, I just got distracted by someone saying "How you got back." That's new to me. No, it. Yeah, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you read the original poem by any chance, or just
No,
The
sir.
original poem?
Okay. Yeah, that Tim Burton wrote apparently during his time as a Disney animator, which I didn't realize he was a Disney animator. So
Oh yeah, he worked
That's
on
news to me.
another holiday classic of Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh, cool. Okay. Okay, but regardless of whether or not you read the poem, you did enjoy the concept of this film, John. Did I understand that right?
Right.
Okay, cool. Dallas, did you enjoy the concept of this film, or was there something else that you really
I
took a
did
liking
enjoy the
to?
concept of the film, but and I have actually read the poem. My first like though is actually I enjoyed the small details that they put into the different scenes of the film.
Yes.
From things like clothing moving, like
Yeah.
it seems so simple for like, okay, we're just, characters moving, but they animated clothes moving against stuff. Like when Jack was leaning into the doorway, his bow tie actually hit the tree and moved with it and bent with it. Sally's hair randomly moving, reflections in different places. Like those
Sally's
small-
hair is moving, really got me, and some fire effects even. I'm like, whoa.
but it's just small details within, because remembering that this is a stop motion animation, like this is
Right.
like they had to think about, hey, let's have this moment here. They made that happen. It's not like it's something that just naturally takes place. They had to think through making it happen. So
Yeah.
just small things like that, like it catches me off guard seeing how beautiful it is. Like the scene where he's explaining Christmas and they move the spotlight, and I'm wondering if they did that just to show off, because dark films work for these type of things because you can hide characters in the background. But when they move the spotlight, Jack's still doing his thing, but everyone's responding to the light at the same time. And so it was just really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
This is when he's doing his presentation of what Christmas is you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that was also my first was the production design, or basically the artistry from a technical perspective. It's just like what Dallas was saying. Like even like Sally walking through the snow, she's leaving footprints, and then with Jack following her, he has his own set of footprints. and how they do that in stop motion without messing that up. And even the snow looks like real snow. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Usually when you get like on a smaller scale, it's harder to make details like snow look real.
Right.
Because it just looks like big dust particles
Without
or something.
it melting under the lights and everything.
Yeah. So that's really impressive.
Super snow.
For sure. Something that I really gravitated to liking was the performance that Chris Sanderson gave. Sanderson, did I get that right? I know it's,
Yes.
No, Sarandon. Chris Sarandon.
Yeah. That's what, you're asking the guy who always gets name pronunciations wrong.
Well, because I had to remember Susan Sarandon.
Yes.
They were married. Chris Sarandon.
Yes, Prince Humperdinck.
Yes, Prince Humperdinck. I really liked his voice for Jack. I thought he did a really good job with it. I felt like he had awesome range and that he really brought that character to life, especially for a character that doesn't have eyes. And I know Disney battled with Tim Burton and company about giving Jack eyes or not, but I thought he's really able to bring a lot of life and not really reality, but grounding to that character in his voice.
Well, when you say range, he only did the speaking voice. He didn't do
Yes, I realize that. I know he didn't
Okay.
sing, but I mean just in the speaking performance.
Okay, sure.
He's legitimately a talented actor, and like voice acting. Just because I've had opportunity to meet so many over the years, half of them hang out with John on a regular basis. Like your ability to present a voice, it makes characters come alive.
Yeah.
And he did a great job at doing that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially for bringing to life a dead guy. It's crazy. How'd you do that?
Ha ha. I see what you did there.
Let's go back to Paul, actually. What's something else you enjoyed, Paul?
Basically what John started off with is I love the concept, especially the ideas of like holidays having their own land and exploring that whole idea is just great to me. There's a lot of potential there.
With if they were to go do a spin-off, what holiday would you like? Not
All
saying
of them. Every episode has a new holiday. I mean, there's trees in there. I'm sure Arbor Day is in there. Let's do them all.
Oh my gosh. Would you want to see like Jack in each situation or their own self-contained stories?
Their own self-contained stories.
Okay.
But if Jack wants to, it's better than nothing.
All right, cool. Just curious.
Although the Easter Bunny looked kind of boring, but I'd like to see
Right.
I'd like to see what goes on there.
Well, did you ever see Rise of the Guardians, Paul? I feel like that
yeah.
has a similar idea of all the
yeah,
headlining.
Yeah,
guys
I think
coming together.
they did a good job in that. It's been years since I've seen it though.
I've never seen it, so I'm just going off what you have to say about it.
Oh, it's great. You should check it out.
I'll do that. John, should I check out Rise of the Guardians? No. What's something else you liked about Nightmare Before Christmas?
Nothing.
Something else you liked about Nightmare Before Christmas?
I'm not even joking. I only liked it.
Are
in
you
concept.
a fan of the title?
No.
It's
Are
not
you a
even
fan
a
of
fun
the-
spin-off of Night Before Christmas.
Are you a fan of stop motion animation?
Not really.
Are you a fan of music?
Yeah, but there were people I've heard band. Okay, I will put
Do
it
you
like
like
this.
Oingo
If you'll allow
Boingo?
something- I will put it like this if you allow me to talk about something adjacent to the film, which is the nightmare.
I'll allow it
nightmare.
for now.
But it could be
That was a good album, John.
The Nightmare Revisited album, because
Okay.
one of the biggest things when we watched this movie was that I had noticed was I like these songs done better by the actual people on that album.
You mean like when
did a
Marilyn
better
Manson
version
did
of
This Is Halloween?
Exactly.
Okay.
Or when Korn did Kidnap the Sandy Claus.
Okay.
Oh, so it was like rock bands or metal bands that did covers of the songs in this, because I've never heard of this album. So okay, I didn't realize what it was. Oh, that's cool. And so you liked that take on. So you liked the songs, you just didn't like how they were performed in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's, you know what, John, that's in line with something I really liked, which was Danny Elfman's singing voice in this.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
He has great range.
Yes,
Yeah, he
yeah,
does.
man. I really enjoyed what he did with how he brought singing voice to Jack, but honestly, if Kaimi just want to go listen to Oingo Boingo.
You did that to yourself, sir.
Well, okay.
His voice is quite different in Oingo Boingo than
It
in
is.
this movie.
It is, but I enjoy those songs maybe a bit more.
Oh, it reminded you of Oingo Boingo, and then it makes you want to go watch or listen to that. Okay.
Yeah,
got
exactly.
it, got
exactly. So that's something else I liked. Dallas, do you like Oingo Boingo?
I really like the camera work that went into the film as a whole.
Sure, yeah.
The perspective, the way that they used their f-stop and blurring things in the background. Again, it's from a lot of my love for it is from a technical point of view.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they did such a great job of the cinematography as a whole.
Yeah.
Can you
especially the
explain
opening
for
scene.
people that aren't like camera nerds what f-stop sort of?
Yeah. Thank you
gets
for
or
making.
what that
Thank you for
does?
editing that. This is a family-friendly podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, the f-stop is a button that Francisco presses every time John gets loud. No, so the f-stop is it's about the perspective and it's where the focal point of your lens is going to hit. So if you crank your f-stop down all the way, so like my camera right here, it's a 22 millimeter. I have an f-stop of f2 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's F number 2 for those listening. I know I slur my words sometimes. I'm not cussing out the captain. But
So basically, that makes everything behind it blurry. Is that
exactly,
right?
and it gives you that bokeh effect in the background. And so, of course, they're right up on these miniatures. So you're going to have some naturalness of that taking place. But throughout the entire film, they were intentional about every camera angle, which added to, like, between the camera angles and then with the lighting itself and how they lit different scenes. Like, it was just a beautiful piece to watch as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I imagine they had to be super intentional. Otherwise, you're going to like waste hours upon hours of time on a shot that is ruined because you just like, oh, we didn't plan it this way. But I mean, imagine there is some of that. It's like, oh, I think this would really work better this way. But
it just felt so dynamic, like previous stop motion animations that I'd seen beforehand,
Like Gumby and Davy and Goliath.
Like they were so flat, and they were
yeah.
just like they were boring. Like this is like the first time I watched a stop motion film that captivated me from a technical point of view of how they did it and the way that like I'm watching not just a CBS after school special, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but like this is like an intense like film.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very cool. Awesome. Well, let's get into the most intense parts of our likes, the things we loved most, our classic makers for this. John, maybe you like the title, the font face of this movie. What did you enjoy?
No, I got something. I've got something.
Okay.
I had to think real hard about it.
All right.
But I liked seeing that the sandworm from Beetlejuice was able to get work again.
Yes,
thought it
I
looked
did
familiar.
notice that. Yep. And I think they used a couple. There's the black and white one, which is in the dice, and then the one in the Christmas tree felt like a riff on it, like is like orange and white or something. Yeah. But okay, so you liked the Beetlejuice homage, essentially. You like the parts of this movie that weren't this movie. Okay, I see how it is.
That would have been amazing if they had a miniature Beetlejuice hidden in there
That
somewhere.
would
Great.
If he was dancing around in Halloween Town, it would have changed my perspective on this movie entirely.
Yeah.
Well,
let Lucas get a hold of it. We can make that happen.
Beetlejuice isn't Disney though.
No, it's not.
So yeah, there'd probably be a rights issue with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get Spielberg on the
Regardless.
phone. He can make it happen.
Get P. Gilbert?
Get Spielberg on the phone.
Oh,
He can make it-
Spielberg. Okay.
Yeah.
Or Bryan Singer.
Or Spielbergio, right? Was that his name?
Oh yeah. In The Simpsons. Oh, what was it?
So yeah.
Senor Spielberg.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. Dallas, what's your favorite Simpsons episode? No, what's your favorite thing about Nightmare Before Christmas?
So, and this is big for me. I don't like musicals. You can ask Celeste. I just don't. I've been on the show with you guys several times, talk about stuff, and it's just like, I love the music. Like, from the songs to the scoring, like from across the board, all the musical pieces, I genuinely love and enjoy. I'll pop this on and listen to it in the background while I work. The album John mentioned a minute ago, that's a great album of mixes. I thought that Flyleaf did a great rendition of one of the songs on there even.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, for me, the music as a whole is one of my favorite parts of this whole film.
Okay, fantastic. Paul, what would you sing the praises of about Nightmare Before Christmas?
I absolutely agree with Dallas and disagree with him at the same time. For me, it was the music, specifically the tunes. I like the melodies of not all the songs, some of the songs.
Yeah.
But not the words. It's hard for me to groove along with the words in it. But like, This Is Halloween and What Is This? What's This? The instrumental version I have saved on my playlist. It's great.
Okay, cool. Very nice. Okay, so the music, not necessarily the lyrics, is your classic maker for this. Okay, very cool. For me, you guys pretty much just came out the gate with my classic.
Oh, you're
maker.
welcome. We knew you weren't feeling that well. We wanted to help you a little.
Appreciate that.
You look like you might be having a cold.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I have.
Wait, you're sick?
I didn't notice. If only you warned us before.
Anyway, the stop motion in this film is so superb. It was very easy for me to forget I was watching stop motion, except for a few times where there were like, I guess I'll call them particle effects. They're not really that. It's just like some water. I think there were some smoke effects that just didn't quite land. It like took me out because either the smoke looked too real compared to the stop motion, or it looked like, I think there's water off the fountain that looked too fake. It's like that's obviously like some, I don't know, plasticky stuff that they're messing with. But yeah, so the stop motion of this was just like, I was like, wow, this is 93. They were able to do all this. It was fantastic. So that was my classic maker for Nightmare Before Christmas. But there are things we liked about this film, things we don't like, and you know what we should get into? I'm sorry, guys. There's something else that I really liked that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. The Cellcast. The Cellcast, hosted by Jacob and Drew, as someone talks over me, hosted by Jacob and Drew, review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it is a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to The Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a C-E-L at thecellcast.podbean.com.
Popping.com?
Podbean.
Oh.
I thought you said popping.
Yeah.
Podbean.
Pod. Is that what? A-H? P-O-D-A-H?
P-O-D-B-E-A-N.
Oh, did P.O.D. do a cover? I bet they would have been.
Oh my God.
They did.
Yeah, it was. They did a cover of "Making Christmas." Sunny is all like, "This time,
Nice.
this time."
Is it your guys? Are you trying to wreck my voice right now? Oh my gosh.
Making Christmas this time.
Okay, obviously that didn't necessarily have that much to do with Nightmare Before Christmas, except this is probably a movie they either have covered or will cover. But how about some trivia about this film, guys?
Yeah,
Would you
that'd
like
be better.
that? Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be better.
trivia.
How dare you?
Well, it would be better because it's more focused on the movie rather than a commercial for another podcast.
Commercial? That was all off the cuff. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
sorry.
I spit that out of my sleeve sometimes. All right. Well,
Poor
okay.
Ashley,
Here is your trivia about The Nightmare Before Christmas. Did you all realize? Actually, hold on. Let me do this real quick.
Okay, Mr. Bighead.
Did you all realize that Danny Elfman, the composer of this, of The Nightmare Before Christmas, end of mode, redo that. By the way, I'm doing this so that I can do a short more easily. I can just like,
Yeah. We don't get to be on your YouTube clip. I get it.
yeah, that's right. That's right. You hush now,
Planet
Paul.
Ahead, social media. I'm so proud of you, Francisco.
Well, I'm trying to remember. All right.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Did you all realize that composer Danny Elfman wrote the songs for The Night Before Christmas before there was a script to go off of? He wrote the iconic songs after Burton described bits and pieces of the story to him. He said, Tim would show me sketches and drawings, and he would tell me the story, describe it in bits and phrases and words, and I would say, yeah, I got it. 3 days later, I had a song. Amazing. So I thought that was super amazing. My question to you guys is, though, what is your favorite Danny Elfman film score? So not a favorite song, not an Oingo Boingo song, but like a favorite Danny Elfman film score. So it could be the whole movie. It could be one song from it, whatever. Pick your poison. Let's start with Dallas. What's your favorite Danny Elfman score?
Batman 1989.
Yes, that's mine.
That's good.
That is I will put that on and drive. And just go and worry about the speed limit later.
Especially that Into the Batcave song.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Yeah. No,
So
back in the day, like
Paul?
I listened to in '89. I listened to the Prince soundtrack once, but I was like, eh. But I put it on that Danny Elfman cassette, and if you're watching this and don't know what a cassette is, welcome. We like you, young listeners, too.
Yeah, I have a pencil if you need it, Paul.
Yeah. But no, seriously, I like you. I would put that on for hours just in the background. It's a great score.
Awesome. Oh, very cool. John, do you have a favorite Danny Elfman score?
Mars Attacks.
Oh, really? Okay. I haven't seen that movie in forever. What about that really stands out to you above like a Batman or a Spider-Man? Can you even quantify
or anything that ends in man?
Dark man. It fit. It didn't like with Batman 89 or Dick Tracy, which
he did Dick Tracy? I think I forgot that.
Yeah. I just had to watch that for another podcast.
Okay.
And it sounded like Batman 89. And I've noticed that a lot of his stuff sounds like all his other stuff.
Yeah, I kind of see that.
Mars Attacks kind of stands itself different. It doesn't poke its head above where it needs to be. It's just, here's some quirky music for this quirky movie. And I mean, yeah.
Okay. Well, very cool. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you for answering that trivia.
Yeah, great trivia, Francisco.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun as I talk over you, do you have anything to add what your favorite Danny Elfman score is?
Did Paul answer?
Yeah, he said they both like Batman 89. Paul and Dallas. Yeah.
I took Dallas's because I didn't want to think. No, I'm joking. I legitimately had that.
Batman 89 is great. I like Men in Black. I really like how what he did for Men in Black. So I'm pretty sure that's Danny Elfman. I might get that wrong. I'm pretty sure it is.
So
it is.
I'm thankful you messaged me about that because I was like, what else has he done? Because 89 is what sticks out to me. He did the Simpsons theme song.
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
Nice.
The Simpsons. And then in chat, let's see. Laurent says Mars Attacks or Darkman. Even Spider-Man was good. So those would be your picks. Very cool. Let's get into the things that, dang it. Did you say your line, Paul?
Yeah, I was in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, but then Dallas, yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
So how do you want to transition to let's find out what memories you?
So I want to share. I want to have it where I shared what Laurent said. Then I'll say then. But let's get back to memories now. Okay, and then you can start. But let me end the mode. All right. So that's okay. Enough with trivia. Like you were saying, Paul, let's get back to our memories. What's the first one?
Let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about The Nightmare Before Christmas.
All right. David Williams says, my parents wouldn't let me watch it as a kid. Now it's one of my favorite movies.
Drew from the Cellcast sings, kidnap the Sandy Claus, throw him in a box, bury him for 90 years, then we see if he talks.
Drake Tungsten says, what's this? What's this?
Yeah, I don't know, Drake. Sean the Nikomata, I think that's how you say his names. I'm not good with name pronunciation. Moving on, he says, this film is by far the only Disney movie I can sing word for word apart from the Sally song. The Sally.
Like I think he can't sing the Sally song.
Oh, okay. Thank you. My favorites, he goes on to say, my favorite songs are Kidnap the Santa Claus and Making Christmas. Also, the Christmas Eve montage with Jack scaring everyone with the monster presents. The great acting is superb, along with the amazing stop motion and background designs. And bonus, you can watch it on 2 holidays. I think I just say all my likes on this film is,
Film, huh?
Film, huh? Sorry, yeah. Not only can I not get names wrong, but I can't even read what people write.
Fabulous Lomax says, my memory of this movie is of how I've managed to avoid watching it. Thanks for that, Fabulous.
Nice. That's actually, that's quite an accomplishment. Because we watch it every year at the Powers household.
Oh, nice.
More on that later. Ashley Ruiz says, all of my memories of this movie got replaced with how it was incorporated into 2 mainline Kingdom Hearts games.
Oh.
If that doesn't count, then I will say iconic songs, especially This Is Halloween.
This is Halloween. Nathan James Norman says, hated this movie as a kid. Whoa. I watched 20 minutes of it and turned it off. I thought it was gross and ugly. Fast forward 15 or more years, and I come home to find my kids watching it. They love it. They watch it and sing it all the time.
That's good.
And Celeste Mora says, Oogie Boogie song is one of the best.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's best about being the worst about this film. Let's spin up our worst 3 things we don't like about The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I'll kick us off, guys. And that would be...
Or pen dropping.
And that would... Edna mode. Okay, fine. Edna mode, guys. Whatever.
Edna mode.
Let me figure this out. Okay, so this is... I said how I liked Chris Sanderson, Sarandon, dang it, Chris Sarandon, and Dan Elfman for
Chris
the their vocal performances for Jack.
Yes.
I was like, is this, when I was listening to Sally's voice performance, I'm like, is this some noob actress that they just hired off the street? No, it's Catherine O'Hara from like Home Alone and Beetlejuice. I'm like, she knows how to act, but she felt so stilted and like she was, I don't know what's going on. It did not feel like it was an actual actress. Maybe she's not used to voice performance versus like acting performance.
She didn't feel warm, or it felt stiff, or...
Yeah, it was almost, I guess, this is my impression of it. Jack, I hope we can find you.
That's actually pretty good.
The other frog gas. Didn't you like it?
Well, it wasn't quite that bad, but I see what you mean.
I mean, it just felt very amateurish. It didn't feel like
well,
a character
I blame more, because I've seen Catherine O'Hara's work, I blame more on the director leading her through her performance.
Like I said, I know Catherine O'Hara can act. So that's just
So that's disappointing.
Yeah,
she's one of the main characters in there, yeah.
I was one thought
exactly.
Sally's last name was Shatner, so...
I don't get it. I mean,
Terrible,
William Shatner, Sally, I don't get it. Explain this joke to me, John.
I don't know if you want to know.
Is William Shatner's wife Sally?
The way she talked was due to the
pauses that she makes kind of reminds him of a certain captain.
Thank you.
I'll be taking your geek card now, Francisco.
I know who William Shatner is. I didn't know if you were saying it was a wife of Shatner, a sister. That's the connection I was missing.
Moving on.
Don't shake your head at me. I am the captain. I shake my head.
All right. We do not need to dwell on this.
I will say
Dallas,
this. I always thought
you
that her speech pattern was due to the fact that she was a doll that was made, and so she was like, like the way they played out, she's relatively new to speaking to life at itself.
Yeah, I guess so. As opposed to like, but I mean, all
they
these
didn't do a good job portraying that. Then
all these characters are made. They're all dolls, stop motion dolls. Dallas.
They're not, he doesn't mean that.
Oh, you mean in the universe she's made?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see that. But Dallas, explanations for Sally's performance aside,
right.
What's something you didn't like about this film?
So one thing I didn't like was, and you kind of pointed this out, was some of the particle effects just weren't quite right. Like when the steam was coming out of the soup bowl,
Yeah.
and a couple other scenes like that, they just weren't really hitting it for me. Like it took away from the practicals of everything else.
Yeah.
About the only time where you saw this particle thing work well, in my opinion, was when they had Zero in on the screen, but he was translucent at the same time. But like, there's just a few scenes I was just like, that didn't work well.
Yeah, it was just jarring compared to the rest of the film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
that. Fair. That
By the way,
is
Francisco,
fair.
I just noticed your Oogie Boogie green background. Very fitting.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to be more in line with this film.
Yeah, Oogie Booger, I think you got the note for.
Paul, why don't you give us the note of what you didn't like about this film?
I thought it was confusing. Now, at first, I thought they set up like, this is Halloween Town, and oh, there's other holiday lands. And then I was like, why is he trying to deliver Christmas to Christmas Town?
Christmas too?
He should be delivering Christmas to Halloween Town, not Christmas Town. Then it's like, oh no, he's delivering to all over the world. When did the world get involved? Like the whole world is more like that we know.
Yeah.
It's like it kept like... so the way they set up the way the worlds work with one another, I found very confusing. At least.
There's no continuity, or there's nothing that bridges that logic for me either.
At least they didn't do a good job of bridging that logic to me to make it more concise of like, oh, what is going on here? So.
Absolutely. Let's see, John, was there? I know you love this movie, as we saw in your like section. But is there anything you didn't? What's one thing you didn't like about Nightmare Before Christmas?
The leaps in plot logic that go on to make this story happen.
Okay, yeah. For instance,
it's just a matter of, hey, Jack came back and he told us about this thing. Guess we're doing that now. Hey.
Well, isn't he the king of Halloween Town or something? So they have to do
he's
what
just
he
the
says?
pumpkin. He's just the pumpkin king. There's the mayor. The mayor.
Yeah, but he's also the one like everyone looks at as like, this is the guy in charge. Like the mayor goes to him like the next day going, we got to start planning this, Jack. And like, he's petrified about the fact that Jack's missing because he can't plan Halloween without Jack.
Right. But I mean, it's a theme that goes throughout the movie. It's just, this person said this, so I guess we're doing it.
Yeah. There's only 30 people in the world, so why not?
Are you...
Paul... Is Paul Rubens in this?
Yeah, he is.
He is.
Oh, who is he in this one?
He's one of the kids.
He's Locke. He's the kid that had the devil mask.
Okay. I didn't realize that. The more you know, I suppose. So, wait, you didn't like that? I totally lost. You didn't like that Paul Rubens was in this, or
no? It's just.
I do. I like it.
Just the lack of characters having any sense of reason.
Oh, that they're like just go along with whatever Jack says without there really being a
well,
good
it's not
reason
even
for
specifically just Jack. It happens throughout the whole movie. It's just nobody has any sense or reason. It's just, I guess we're doing this now.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sally picks up a flower and it turns into a thing and then catches fire into her.
Yeah, I never really got that. Why is it?
Then it turns into
fire?
it's a. I didn't understand why that happened first, but it's like they later explained it's a vision she has. It's to symbolize what's gonna happen.
But then they didn't set up that she's like a prophet or something.
No, that's how they set it up.
That was the setup for the explanation.
But they don't do any more of her prophecies then.
It's completely circular reasoning. It's Deus Ex Machina, and that's the reason why it's terrible.
Oh, I see.
Well, I'm sort of in agreement with you, John, because something else that didn't make sense to me, and this goes along with what you were saying, Paul, about the logic of like their Halloween Town, then Christmas, then the whole world's there somehow. I did not understand why. Okay, so Jack gets to the tree grove where it has all the doors.
Yeah.
And then he goes through Christmas, and then he lands in a pile of snow. No other doors or anything are around. He goes in, scopes out Santa Town, and then somehow gets back to Halloween Town.
Yes.
Without doors or anything.
Yes. Well, if you can buy the logic that there's this place exists, they're hoping that you could take the leap of faith that he can like just transport in and out of them.
No. See, this is where it's wrong. It should be there should be there should be a grove in each holiday. So you have your holiday.
Falls down the hole in one.
Oh my gosh.
No, let me finish.
Let
me finish. This is Francisco's Fabulous Fan
All
Fiction.
right,
Right,
okay, go for it, Alice. Take us to your Wonderland.
you have the grove in Halloween Town. You go through the Christmas tree, and then out the other side, you come out a pumpkin tree in Christmas Town. That was all you had to do, and then there's this bridge between worlds, and you just go back and forth. Whatever door you go into, you come out of the door that goes into that one. It's so simple. I don't know why they just plop him down with no sense of how he's going to get back.
Yeah. I just had a revelation that this movie is contingent upon the Narnia world building by C.S. Lewis.
Well, so now we need a prequel of The Magician's Nephew on how to get to places.
That's what this is. This is The Magician's Nephew. The wood between worlds, man.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's like the gummy bears where they have that log that shoots through all the trees and takes them different places.
Okay, well, I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me. All right, guys, that's my dislike.
Jack just had the back, is what that is.
Well, they didn't set it up.
They didn't set it up being a
what's
prophet either, but apparently that was a thing. So,
yeah,
I know, and it's horrible. John, what's something else that's horrible about this movie?
It's very quiet. There's very few lines in this movie. There's a lot of, hey, let's watch this thing happen. Not a lot of dialogue, which unfortunately leads to not a lot of plot building. So it felt very monotonous.
Do you prefer movies with tons of like exposition dumps? Like, give me all the dialogue. I don't want to see action.
No.
I want to see speaking.
No, but the problem is that if you don't have any sense of dialogue, you're completely dependent on visuals for your world and character building. And because we have in the visible media, we don't have the ability to hear what the thoughts are. We don't have the ability to know the backgrounds through memories of characters on the screen. You only have what's being presented to you.
Sure.
So in the visual medium, unfortunately, you do need a certain amount of dialogue in order to create depth. And I just don't think that. I think the lack of dialogue made this movie feel very shallow to me.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I'm curious. Did anyone else feel like the dialogue was shallow? I didn't get that sense, but Dallas or Paul, did you get that sense?
No, just lack of explaining what's going on sometimes.
You know what, John, I could use more dialogue about how this portal thing works.
Yeah.
Okay, but I know what, you guys didn't like my dislike. I'm not gonna poop over your dislike there, John. Dallas, what's something what dislike can I poop on of yours? For me to poop on?
I don't want you to poop on anything I have. That's disgusting.
It's a Conan O'Brien.
That's not sanitary. What's wrong with you? You got a cold, now you're pooping on people's stuff?
That COVID does that to you. Have you been tested?
Oh my gosh.
Dallas,
just like go.
You? All right, so one of my dislikes was at the end. Sally has disconnected her limbs and to free Santa Claus, and then like Oogie Boogie captures them, and then the next scene she's put back together. I'm like, I just don't foresee Oogie Boogie going, "Hey, let me sew you back together." I just don't see that happening.
Oh,
as
I didn't
he chains
notice that.
her up. So that was like, it was just one of those like quick, like, how did we get here?
Oh, okay, yeah.
She walked.
Oh.
Well, I didn't get why she falls in line with that, Dallas. I didn't get why in the beginning she comes back to Dr. Finkelstein or whatever his name is, because she is missing the arm that she needed to sew back up. But she can fall out the ledge and then sew herself up. So why can't she just find another armature, sew it onto herself, and just be rid of? I didn't get why she had to be there. It seemed like Just poison him for real and then kill him if you're not going to be. Why all these teasing poison things? I didn't understand that.
Maybe she's not that kind of girl.
And why is she poisoning him at all?
Well, she'll poison him, but not enough to kill him.
That,
me ask some-
so
if
she's into
Frankenstein-
pain, is what you're saying.
Well, no,
she wants to
he's
see him
sweet.
suffer.
There's no pain. She wants her freedom.
If Frankenstein's monster lost a limb, could he just go grab one out of the ground and throw it on there, or does it have to go through the electoral process to?
Well, hold on. Let me consult Emily Dickinson here in her appendices on
Mary
Frankenstein.
Shelley, sir.
No,
Boom.
it's Emily Dickinson. I think.
Where did we go? Where are we?
We're in a clearing where there's a bunch of trees, Paul.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
Good. It's Arbor Day.
Paul, was it just like of yours that there was no Arbor Day in this?
No,
in the
that would have
Grove?
been boring. And you know how much I hate slow and boring. No, I said my classic maker was the tunes, and I didn't like the words. And so my thing the thing that I didn't like are some of the words, like what's this? It has a mixture of, hey, this is great and wonderful, but it's also talking about how there's like nobody's throwing heads and there's absolutely no one dead, and it's all talking about like this gross, horrible stuff within a nice, delightful song. It's kind of like This Is Halloween that has some of these disturbing lyrics about like sharp teeth and glowing red eyes and hiding under your stairs and bed, and like it's creepy and it's a little bit too much for me about like spiders in my hair. I don't want to think about that kind of stuff.
So
I'll never listen to the band The Misfits. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
I don't want that. That sounds disturbing. So I like the tune. Don't want to hear the lyrics. Not for me. Thank you.
Would it be better for you if it was the lyrics matched or the music matched the lyrics? Like, would that be more? Would you be willing to listen to that and be like, oh yeah, this song's slaps or whatever the kids are saying?
I
these
would
days.
like, sure. You can have like, oh, this is Halloween. Fine. It's all about dark stuff. Oh, then this is a Christmas song, but now you're mixing it with light and dark stuff. So I can't appreciate the light stuff. Like This Is Halloween, I can understand, like, okay, if people enjoy dark stuff, can enjoy dark stuff. There's nothing light for the people who enjoy light stuff. That isn't corrupted by the dark stuff. If that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And yet another token, I'd say, into why this is a Halloween movie. But we're not having that discussion again. We are having a discussion of what our most hated thing about Nightmare Before Christmas, what gives us nightmares from watching this movie. And let's start with John. What did you hate most about
the
this
forced
film?
romance between Jack and Sally?
I understand that because it didn't make sense. Like all these women, sorry to talk over you, John, but let me just throw this in there. But I noticed that like at the beginning, all these women are basically throwing themselves at Jack, and he's like, no, I don't want none of that. And then all of a sudden, this Sally stuff gives him like something in a bucket, and he's like, oh, this girl's good. I'm gonna be okay with her. And it's like, why? I agree, John. It felt forced.
Yeah. So expand on it, John. Why did it feel forced to you?
Because the characters had little to no interaction through this movie, and all of a sudden at the very end, I'm in love with you. You're not. If anything, you're madly in like at the most.
I didn't even see that. I was like, I felt like it was just plot armor is not the right word, but it was just contrivance that they were together. It's like, we need romance. Okay, put these two together.
There was no build up to it. It's just Sally saw him, and it was sight for her apparently, and Jack wasn't interested until Sally had done a few favors for him, basically. And it doesn't strike me, it doesn't portray a healthy relationship at all, or a healthy means of
this is
creating a relationship.
Well, and she warned him, and she was like, look, don't do this, it'll lead to destruction. And he realizes, oh, I should have listened to her. I guess we're meant to be together.
I can kind of see that, but
based off that, then I guess me and Tipper Gore are supposed to be together, because the parental advisories on all the albums I bought back in the 90s were telling me the truth of those albums. So
there we go.
If you're out there, Tipper, give me a ring.
She's our biggest fan, on the podcast. All right, John, that's totally fair. I'm curious. What would be the contrasting movie couple that you're like, this is what the Nightmare Before Christmas should have aspired to, or could only hope to be?
I wish you would have let me plan for that, because now you're expecting me to pull it out of the air.
Well,
So you just pick someone like Tom Hanks and what's her name?
Meg
Ryan.
Meg Ryan.
Yeah. Insert any female you want there.
I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that there is the perfect movie couple that it shows the relationship developing on screen, because the fact of the matter is, in order, for people to fall in love, that's something that takes time, and that's something they can't really show very well in a movie.
On Solo and Princess Leia. You got a couple movies there.
She had to kiss her brother before she figured out that she liked.
Hey, whatever it takes. Sometimes,
I will crib my wife's pick, because I feel like it's a good example. But when Harry Met Sally, you see their friendship to romance definitely progress over a long span of time. And
Tom Hanks.
No, that's not Tom Hanks. That's Billy Crystal, Paul.
Oh yeah, I know that. No, I meant but I agree with that. Actually, no, sorry, I was about to go off on Harry Met Sally, but I think you can also see that in some of the Tom Hanks films, is what I was meaning to say. I know Billy Crystal does a good job, but does he? No. I don't know.
Billy Crystal did a marvelous job. You got to say it right when you're talking about Billy Crystal.
You look marvelous. No, that's not how he says it, but it's close.
This conversation is mostly dead. Let's move on to Dallas.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's dead, Francis.
Is a Princess Bride pull there, John? Dallas, that's who you are. What's your tragic maker for this film?
Wow.
Oh my gosh. My tragic maker, while not as intense of a dislike as what John has, is the rushed relationship between Sally and Jack also.
Wow.
Although I have a little bit more allowance for it, because the revelation of it was that this is the only one who's actually cared about him to tell him the truth. I think they should have left it with him having a revelation of somebody actually cares about me, rather than somebody just wants me because of my status or because of what I do for them. She just genuinely cared about him,
though.
If they had done that, I think that the film would have ended a lot better, a lot sweeter.
Yeah, the romance side would have been.
Yeah,
but that's hard to do in 90 minutes or however
exactly.
long this is.
And so I think if they just killed it there, rather than having him going, "I'm in love with you" all the way, it would have been better.
Pee-wee came back.
Yeah. Now, I'm told there's a company of it called oh my goodness, Les is going to kill me for not remembering the title of it.
We read allegedly
the Pumpkin Queen.
Oh,
and it's a continuation of the story. And,
that's interesting.
It fleshes out the relationship in a lot better way from what Celeste tells me, and it's really very sweet.
It's about when Jack Skellington decides to form a band, and he's starting to discover who he is, and they ask if this is the real life or is it just if they're caught it.
Is this Long Live the Pumpkin Queen?
That might be it.
All right, yeah. It's by Shia Earnshaw.
Yeah. So, but Celeste loved it. My sister liked it too a lot.
Oh, nice. Is this a book or what?
Yeah, it's a book.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those things you read. It's a paper and writing.
Oh, I get those notifications on my phone.
I listen to books, so I don't.
Yeah, same here.
Anyway, your tragic maker butts up right against my tragic maker.
I like big butts. Sorry,
we're not going back to Sir Mix-a-Lot.
I like big butts. I cannot lie.
My issue with Nightmare Before Christmas is that doesn't seem to be a moral, so to speak. I don't feel like there's a point to. I'm not learning anything about how to be a better anything from this movie.
Oh, I do. And I'll talk about it during my tragic maker. So if you want to switch to that.
Yes, let's do that. Because teach me something, Paul.
Okay, the whole point of this is Jack learns that Halloween and Christmas don't really mix. That's the moral. And so I agree with them. Like, Halloween and Christmas don't really mix, and that's what this whole movie is a mixture of Halloween and Christmas, two yin and yang trying to fit together, and it doesn't do well in my opinion. And I didn't enjoy the whole movie of that.
That's what we learned, that they don't fit together.
Yeah, they don't mix well. Otherwise, Jack would have succeeded in his adventures, and everyone would have been happy with their horrible stuff at Christmas.
Paul,
And some people are.
Paul, I'm gonna respectfully
Go ahead, John.
disagree. I'm gonna respectfully disagree.
And you
with
can.
that
There's a
being
lot of
moral.
people that do.
I-
Sorry, go ahead.
But I believe you're close. I believe what the moral of this movie is Halloween is whatever you want to make it to be. Just don't try to force it on people who don't see similarly to you.
I didn't get that, but that's good for you, if that works for you.
He's not going to force that onto you, John.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I also thank you for not forcing your belief on me, because I will respectfully disagree with yours.
I mean, yeah, you're welcome to be wrong, but that's just how it is.
Sure. I often am, so I'm used to it.
I will say, maybe I would have picked up on a moral if I wasn't falling asleep during this movie.
Because it was too quiet?
No, not because it's too quiet, because I'm like, what's the
moral-
point of this?
the moral of
I'm
the
not
story
getting a moral of this.
Is to listen to your witchcraft girlfriend wannabe who's telling the future, fortune telling, and
yes,
hook up
of
with
course.
her rather than the other people just throwing themselves lavishly at you.
Wait. Sally was made from leaves. She was stuffed with leaves. If she could see the futures, does that mean she was reading the leaves?
I think so.
Possibly.
What I was going to say, though, I'm not trying to say that every movie that is any good has to have a moral or anything, or it doesn't really have to be like super obvious what the moral is, but there has to be, I almost feel like there has to be some point to me watching this movie, to me and wanting to invest in this story. I didn't care about these characters. I didn't really care about the story.
I understand what's going on here, Francisco. You're like me. You grew up in the 80s. We're expecting the main character like Jack to come out the end and say, listen, boys and girls, in today's story, I didn't bother, trying to see what people wanted to do. So I forced Halloween on them during Christmas, and that's a no-no.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah, I need them to
grow on.
crystallize it for me. Exactly.
Yes.
Oh my!
I just had a flashback to the USA Cartoon Express. Thank you so much for that.
Oh yeah. Choo choo.
So Paul, if I get it right, your tragic maker was that there was a moral, that the moral was that to stay in your lane, as Lil Ronan here in chat said.
I guess it's saying that they doesn't mix, and yet this whole movie is about the mixture of it. So this whole movie is basically saying to me, hey, this doesn't work.
Oh, so it's
And
like
I agree
it's a
with
pointless
it.
movie. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be, essentially.
Right.
I kind of get that. I wonder if that's the point of the poem. Dallas, you said you read the original poem. What was the thrust of it? What sort of message was it trying to get across? Just night.
No,
Halloween and Christmas. Zany.
It's really simple, Francisco. I could tell you. It says roses are red, violets are blue. Halloween and Christmas don't mix, and neither do you.
Wow. That was the poem?
Yeah. No, not the original one.
That's what that's what I thought you were saying. I'm like, wow, they made a movie out of that. Go ahead, Dallas.
Obviously, they did.
No, it's been several years since I've read the poem, but from my understanding and what I read from watching the movie, what I found the theme to be wasn't that these things don't mix, but it's the matter of being okay with what you have and the giftings you have and the what you do, and understanding that
so don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to.
There you go.
But
you don't
Jack
have
Skellington had to have it his way or not at all, and I think he
Yeah.
was moving too fast.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's a long poem. It's like 3 pages or something.
Well, The Night Before Christmas, which I just realized this was a riff off that name, that title.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you serious? You just realized that?
Yep. I mean, today. I just realized it today. Not like now during this conversation, but today.
But today you just realized that?
Yes. I was
Wow,
today
that
years
cold really
old
got you
when
down.
Francisco realized it.
Francisco,
the whole thing was a matter
Francisco,
of
read a book.
Oh
Well,
no,
it's still
I
legal.
thought
Go read a
we
book.
don't read those. We only listen to them.
like legitimately, Francisco, like the entirety of the poem and the movie was inspired by combination of The Night Before Christmas, the poem, the old Christmas stop motion animations, and then like some of the birthing place of it was actually like Burton was like basically at Dillard's when they were taking down their Halloween display and they're putting up the Christmas display because nobody remembers there's a thing called Thanksgiving anymore. And he saw the two combinations of things sitting there together and he thought it was fascinating. And you imagine what would it be like if these creatures from Halloween land tried to experience Christmas, not having an understanding of what they were stepping into. And I think that's really what it was, is you can't just step into a space that you don't understand.
Yeah.
And
I think that would have been more interesting if like Paul was alluding to, I think earlier, if it was a matter of Jack trying to bring Christmas, like not do this whole planning committee thing. Hey, let me explain Christmas to you. Actually try to be Santa Claus and put presents at people's feet in Halloween Town and like trying to make Christmas something they celebrated too. I think that would have been a lot more fascinating, a lot more interesting, a lot more about this is how we celebrate other, I don't know, cultures or whatever. That's what Disney's into these days, right?
I honestly, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
I've got it. This movie is an allegory for the wrongs of cultural appropriation.
Well, actually, that goes along. I seriously thought this when watching the movie. I thought it was a cautionary tale against Vietnam. It's basically when you're trying to do something from afar rather than living in it and experiencing it. And you know, you're making decisions and forcing it on others from afar rather. So I think there's a whole correlation there.
Okay, so if this was an allegory for Vietnam, then who was Rambo?
John. You are John Rambo.
John Rambo. Yeah. John Hardy, right here. You don't know you're the hero? Yeah. That's how this works. Oh my gosh. But that's an interesting point, Paul. I never really thought about that. But fantastic. Well, that is all our Tragic Makers, guys. So now that we've entered all our trajectories, that's a hard word to say, into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Maybe.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Let's ask Salvo Authority what the
gosh.
moral of the story is.
where is Salvo Authority?
I think you have to use Salvo's authority to give your final rating. I think that's what he means.
Oh, Salvo's at the ready.
All right, now you're just saying words that don't make sense. I don't even making up words.
No.
Like, what?
He's impersonating Sally. That's what he's doing.
Oh, that's a good impression. I think Catherine O'Hare did a better job. Sorry, Francisco.
Yeah. Don't quit your day
That's
job,
great,
Captain.
Paul.
Yeah.
I gotta give That's Our Bobo in the chat a big yes. Bring in the Silence of the Lamb reference into a Christmas movie.
It rubs the salvo on the authority, or it gets my ire again. Okay.
Put the ire in the
Let's
basket.
start with John. Do you rate? So we on the Retro Rewind podcast we
Dumpster
rate
fire.
movies classic, nostalgic, or tragic. If it's a classic, you'd recommend anyone go see this, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth your time to revisit if you'd seen it before. But if you've never seen it before, just pass this one by. Or a tragic, it's worth no one's time today. If you've never seen it before, keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. So we're not on the bottom shelf, John. I don't know why I have to keep reminding you of that. What is your final classic, nostalgic, or tragic rating?
We might be.
Are you simulcasting this, Dallas? Did you ever start that?
The world may never know.
I think we will know. I'll just go to twitch.tv/geekdevotions and I'll tell you right now if that's the case.
Well, you don't know
Let's
if they don't.
see.
They could be putting this in their feed, and it could show up on their feed in the future.
That's not simulcasting, Paul. That's repurposing.
Whatever.
Oh my God!
No tomato.
Sir, this is a Christmas movie. It's called Regifting. Look it up.
Like an Indian.
John, what is your final rating for The Nightmare Before Christmas?
My final thought on it is tragic.
Tragic. Okay, so that was your prediction as well.
It's a very tragic dumpster fire.
Wow.
Wowza. All right.
Not shocking, considering all your likes.
Dallas, you had
Classic.
predicted classic. Did you end up rating this a classic?
I did.
Really? Oh,
Yep.
crap. C for crap. No, C for classic. So this just is as good as you remembered it. Like, expand on why you rated it.
Yeah,
classic.
I mean, it hits all the right spots for me. Again, from a technical point of view, it's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. I love the music. I love the sounds of it. I enjoy the story. I enjoy some of the things that take place within it as a whole. I enjoy the art of it. The little goth kid in me enjoys this on a regular basis because I like some of the
Okay.
darker stuff mixed in with some
Yeah.
light. So I have a lot of great memories watching this growing up and enjoying it with friends and family. And so we watch this movie every single year for Halloween, Christmas time frame. It's
Now, do
just
you
one of
watch
those
it for
things.
Halloween or do you watch it for Christmas?
I watch it for both. And
Nice.
so,
So
No,
you,
no,
you
no,
watch
no,
it
no.
twice a year? Or
Oh, yeah. That's a good. You watch it twice a year?
yeah, I really do. And so,
horrible our Christmas will be.
and so I know and maybe it's just that I was in the right time frame to enjoy it because I'm like cards on the table. I'm the youngest person in the room at the moment with you guys.
I
And-
Speak
not
for
know that.
yourself.
And so when it
I think
landed,
you just did.
like,
Oh, yeah.
like I was at the right age to be captivated by the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
had a lot of friends that, we enjoyed this. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, for me, it's a classic film. I love this film. I know Nathan James Norman doesn't get it. But his kids do. And his kids are cool.
Oh,
Wow.
but that's all right. Nathan is cool too.
I do want to say real quick, John, you said tragic, and Dallas just said something about the mix of light and dark. Movies like Big Trouble in Little China mix light and darks, and you like that movie, I presume. So why don't you like this movie? It's like the same movie.
No, it's not.
I know.
The effects in this are much better.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Anyone here thinking possibly Paul and I could be friends, but he's
thought wrong,
he's making
dude.
that difficult.
Oh, wow.
Paul,
Yes.
why don't you, let's see how difficult you make it with your rating. You had predicted nostalgic. What was your final?
Yeah.
What's your final rating, though?
I personally don't like the mixture of the light and dark. That's me. So for me personally, it's a tragic. But we watch it, like I said, every year at my house because there's members of this household that love it. And I like Dallas. I know lots of people that really like this. So if people were gonna ask me if I recommend it, I'd say maybe it might work for you. So I'm going to keep it at nostalgic because I think there's a group of people there that this does fit. But it's not a classic where I said, you have to check this out.
All right. Interesting. Okay. For me,
Why don't you just
Excuse me.
clear your nose there?
yeah,
got
I'm
a
sorry.
cold?
I'll edit it out, okay? I'm sorry. I'm
apparently-
sick.
Apparently,
I'm sick.
Francisco was just really in the mood for some oysters today.
Oh, I thought it was. Was that how you got your green background?
He turned around and
really
sneezed.
quickly.
Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm trying not to. I feel bad. Okay, does that make you feel
Yeah.
better? That I feel bad about it.
Maybe
You already feel bad.
if
we
you
know that.
snort some Tabasco, it'll make those oysters taste a lot better, bro.
Ew. Take your word for it.
Anyway,
I feel like that's an Edna mode.
Don't
yes,
let
this is definitely an end mode. Okay, so I just did, Paul. I just did your. You said nostalgic, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that just leaves me, guys. And I had predicted nostalgic, but after watching this, I could go the rest of my life and never watch it again. I'm going to rate it tragic.
Wow.
So it's just, I felt like there are so many things that didn't have continuity. There are certainly elements that are good. It's not like the worst movie ever by any means. I'm not trying to say that, but I rate movies for me, and it's just, I could go the rest of my life, like I said, and never watch this movie again and be fine. So I'd much rather watch a Coraline or a Kubo and the Two Strings or a Rudolph and the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which we're covering next time. At least, so I think that might be, I might feel differently after reviewing it. It's been a while since I've seen it. But with all those ratings tabulated, the Retro Rewind podcast rates The Nightmare Before Christmas a highly disputed tragic film. We'd recommend no one go see this, whether or not you've seen it before.
Sorry, Dallas. I tried to help.
It happens,
But
bro.
now it's time to get back to our own time. Good
I'm used to
old
being the right person.
20XX.
Wait, 20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1993 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely.
Edna mode.
Oh, Edna mode. What's up?
No, I didn't want the clear, the dead air.
I usually try to take that out.
I know, but just in case, that's what
All right,
Edna modes are for.
All right, that's fair. 7. We're up to 7.
Woohoo! Oh, we're not even done yet.
Yes, apparently you came back for this. I assume you like Nightmare Before Christmas, Little Ronan. I came back to be crushed. I'm leaving again. See y'all later. Never. Okay. Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, Chris Cowan, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, Pastor Dewson. Wait, I'm sorry, I missed. Dang it, I have to do this again. Hold on, I have to add someone to the end of this also. Give me a second, guys. Okay. And also I have to change this.
And you have to be blurry while doing it.
Dang it, I'm sorry, guys.
That's fine.
Okay, this one, I'm going to say no to that one. Okay. All right, I think I'm good to go. Gain. Oh my gosh, Baba, wow. For your information, lost one, gained one. So there, I guess.
Okay, way to rub it in.
Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, Chris Cowan, Geek Devotions. Oh, you're right here.
Yeah.
The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Ruiz, Pastor Dewson, Kennethan, Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Babo, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, Tony from the Retro Days, Mr. Lost, Gerald Hafner, Rosie, Dale, in addition to 6 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help keep us flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start. Also, quick note. Actually, never mind. I'm not going to announce that there. So, double snafu on you, Paul. Go for it.
This stream sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
All right. Well, we're thinking.
Sorry. Hold on. We have a
go
review.
for it. Well, I wanted to thank Dallas for supporting, with PaulJPowers.com there.
Yep, happy to.
Hold on. We do have a review. I forgot to add it.
Well, good luck editing that in. As we have another
Edna mode.
I know. All the NMOs.
At least you don't have as many as who will save Generation X. So be on the lookout for that, folks.
That was so fun though.
Good.
That was so fun.
That's another podcast that we were on, so check them out. They're pretty cool.
They are. Definitely check
Is
them
the
out.
name Who Will Save Generation X?
Yeah, Who Will Save
All right.
Generation
I subscribe
X.
to him, I listen to him, but I forget the name. That should be out.
Drop?
I think later this month. Or
Yeah,
is it
he
next
said
month?
one more episode ahead of us and then another one. So,
No,
So I
this
think-
episode.
Oh, when
we're
does
doing.
this episode drop?
Oh, this episode
Now.
drops.
This is happening now.
now.
Now?
No.
Well,
No, that was then.
on the streams, it's happening now. On the
Oh.
audio version of the podcast, it happens later.
Oh.
You want to know when later is?
Yes.
Is it now?
No, you got to wait a little longer.
Oh. How long?
long
this
as it
drops. This drops in a few weeks also, Dallas.
So before December?
Since we're in Edinburgh, I'll go look it up. Hold on.
Hold
on, everyone.
You don't have to do it right now.
I'm doing it.
No, we'll give you the info so you can blast it.
Because we're recording here like next week. We're doing a day full of recording.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
that's right. This comes out.
In the year 2022.
On November 23rd. So the day before Thanksgiving, I believe that is.
Okay. Yeah.
Supposedly. Life happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Cool. John and I will make reference to it in our conversation about
Mario.
Street Fighter or Mario.
Or both.
Or any of them. Or both, yeah. All of
say,
the
hey,
above.
remember to Google this because you're not going to Google it right now.
Or the
Google
Gundam
this.
Watch.
Google this. There's podcasts in
Wow.
the air.
Nice. Okay, Paul, whenever you're ready, end of end
All right.
mode.
It was late one fall in Halloween land, and the air had quite a chill. Against the moon, a skeleton sat alone upon a hill. You don't want me to read this whole thing, do you?
I want you to read our podcast review, Paul.
Oh!
Please.
Okay. I thought you say that. It says, if reviews, FXR says it. So you want
Dang
me to
it,
say
you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
Okay. To start, we also want to thank Mario 500 for their new review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
They gave us a 5-star review and said,
Wow.
a review of Retro Rewind podcast. I had found what I had believed to had been certain installments of this Retro Rewind podcast to had been very enjoyable and very pleasant. For example, no profanity.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mario 500, for that review. I assume English
I
is
can fix that.
his first language.
No, that would just be another.
Edna mode.
F stop.
The F stop. Yes.
Yeah. That would be. And you know what? While we're thanking people, we also want to give a big Tim Burton-esque hug to John Haru and Dallas Mora for supporting us with their thoughts about The Nightmare Before Christmas tonight. So I'd like to start alphabetically, and let's go with Dallas. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Yeah, you can find us at geekdevotionals.com, where you find links to everything we do, our weekly devotionals we put out every Friday on YouTube, plus the myriad of podcasts such as the Bottom Shelf, where we review terrible movies. John's actually part of that. The Gundam Watch, where we review mostly Gundam. John's actually part of that. Com Talk about Geek Devotions, where we do various things. John's part of that. And then We Read Allegedly, where they review books. John's also part of that.
But he
So
listens
apparently
to
John's
them,
part of
not
all
reads
of this.
Everything.
Is there any part of Greek Devotions John isn't a part of?
Yeah, the Friday devotions.
Oh, okay. Yet.
And the streams, the live streams.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
Well, speaking of which,
Awesome.
John, thank you for coming out here and joining us for
thank
this
you,
review.
John. Awesome
And,
having you on finally.
Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on?
Well, I do DM at Playing Games with Strangers. So if you want to hear what goes on inside my head and how I force my friends to on it, feel free to go check that out. I also am guesting on a upcoming episode of Strangers and Aliens. Might be out before this.
Oh, nice.
Might be out before this shows up, but I just recorded it yesterday with Ben, and we talk about Dick Tracy. So that's
Nice.
another movie from the same year.
Oh, yeah.
With Danny Elfman's scoring. I just found that out today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And anything else you want to know about, check the link tree in the podcast description that Dallas will send you.
Wow.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dallas. Thank you so much, John. And of course, my awesome, not a nightmare, co-host Paul.
I'm your worst nightmare.
Oh my gosh. And all you Rewinder world for another fun voyage.
You're welcome. And you can find me, pauljpowers.com, at pauljpowers.com.
Oh, and you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box.
There's
A
Nathan.
curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
I knew Nathan would be back later.
I need to make a quick correction. The crowd is right. That was in 1990. Dick Tracy was in 90, not 93. That was a faux pas on my part.
Wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah.
Important information. And as Nathan just said, we are part of Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media, which is kind of not people aren't used to, but that's unusual. It sticks out in a good way, hopefully. Culturebox.media. With that, Captain, we are our final approach to base, where hopefully no one blows up our sleigh on the way.
That would be sad, XO, but thank you so much, and thank you all for listening. We pray you're more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, our next episode for Winter Miss of the Retro Rewind Podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Haven't you heard of peace on Earth and goodwill toward men?
No!
I guess neither have lawless cowboys on distant planets.
Oh, then it must be time to review another episode of Firefly!
Ship like this, be with you to the day you die.
Retro!
Because it's a death trap.
The pod of rewind.
Pretty cunning, don't you think?
They were robbed of time, young Indy made them poor. Burnt out on dullness, what was it all for? With Firefly now, what reviews will they find? The hero of time, Retro of Rewind.
We gotta go to the crappy town where I'm a hero.
How did
Yes.
young Indy make them poor?
Poor of time. He made, took all our time.
I still don't understand that reference. Moving along.
Anyway, welcome to another review of Firefly, as we review episode by episode of this series on our way to our Christmas episode covering the movie Serenity. Paul, what episode are we reviewing today?
This episode we are reviewing is number 13, titled Heart of Gold, which is actually the third of three episodes that did not originally air in the U.S. when it was first aired because the series got canceled. So can you give us a one-sentence synopsis of the plot of this episode, Captain?
Yes. Inara has an old companion friend from companion school, I guess, that calls for help because there's a lord on the planet she's on that she runs a whorehouse for. I usually parentheses a lot.
Commas and pause. It must be from the Shatner school. That's Sally's relative, right?
I mean, he just watched it. He should have this down.
Yeah. Anyway, continue, Captain.
And so there's a lord that's, or I forget what the title is of this guy that's sort of, he wants to have one of the prostitutes at the Heart of Gold girls. That's like the inn thing. It's called the Heart of Gold. One of the prostitutes there, the lord wants to have one of the prostitutes have her as baby because his wife can't
Have her as a baby?
have his baby, have a child with one of the prostitutes because his wife can't have a child.
Oh, is that why?
So
okay.
So she calls Inara for help.
That's right.
Which
that's
Firefly
right, yeah.
crew comes and helps them. I know that was
That's
horrible. I'm sick, guys. Have I mentioned that?
I love my captain.
Thank you. So let's go through it and say one thing we liked about this episode of Firefly, guys. Let's start with Dallas.
I liked the fact
butts.
that while some of Mal's motivation for just stepping in to help was his relationship to Homegirl, it really boiled down to there was something that didn't sit right with him about the situation. Of these women who were being attacked, and a gentleman who was forcing this other woman to surrender her child to him because stuffs.
So I'm sorry, it sounded like you were explaining the plot again, but I'm sorry. What did you like? You like the plot, or what did you like?
I like the I like the fact that Mal stepped in. He said, "I'm going to step in. I'm going to handle the situation for free." He wasn't looking for compensation. He's like, "This is wrong, and we're going to handle it." And I appreciated that. I mean, throughout the series, Mal was kind of like, okay, he's like morally ambivalent. But this was a moment where it was like no, we're not going to put up with this crap today.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. John, did you have a like?
You're rude, bro. I was just gonna sit this episode out, but you want to put shame on me? Fine,
I will ask. Have you ever seen Firefly? So I will throw a shot at myself too. I forgot to watch this week's episode, so my apologies. John wasn't able to watch it either. Have you seen Firefly before though, John, or no?
I watched it up to a certain point. I had never experienced Firefly until I saw
Serenity, the movie.
I mean, yeah, I had never experienced Serenity without before I saw Firefly. I saw Firefly first, and then I heard it was based off a TV show. I think I watched about half the series and got tired and just gave up.
All right.
Oh, wow.
So not a brown coat. Nice. No, I'm glad to have one aboard.
No, I do like Nathan Fillion as an actor.
Yeah, he's great. I wish they could do on better stuff. That's all. Like,
but my
he's not
favorite
meeting
role,
his potential.
My favorite role of him was his portrayal of Cactoid Jim on the I just forgot the name
Daring
of the podcast.
Adventure Hour.
The Adventure Hour, the Thrilling
Yeah.
Adventure Hour.
Yes.
Him as Cactoid Jim was what really endeared him to me. So
okay, that's a deep cut. I would be surprised if Dallas or Paul know what that is. But
no,
I love the fact that I finally found somebody who knows what the Thrilling Adventure Hour is other than me.
I only ever listened to Robo Fist got the cowboy
Sparks
sci-fi.
Nevada,
Sparks Nevada, yeah. I only ever listened to that. I didn't listen to the other ones, but
that's too bad because they were all pretty good.
I believe it.
He also did.
For context, Paul and Dallas, this is a podcast that was done in the style of old radio dramas.
It's a
audio
podcast.
dramas.
Oh,
and so there were different segments. There was like a sci-fi cowboy segment. There was like a comedy horror segment. I think there was one other one. I forget what it was. But anyway, so they would do like 2 or 3 different skits each time, but then you had to come back for the next week to see how it resolved. And it was very serialized in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come back next week for what happens to Batman next or something like that. Anyway, continue, please, John.
Well, I was just gonna say he had another series to himself on the Thrilling Adventure Hour as well.
I didn't know that.
Ace American. I can't remember his Jefferson Davis. Ace American.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, yeah, it was. I think he's a much better voice actor than he is a physical actor, in my opinion.
Okay. Interesting. I like his physical comedy too, but so you would say your like of this episode is Nathan Fillion, it sounds like.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Well, I can pretend.
That's what. Yeah.
I honestly forgot who I asked first. What I think it was Dallas. So Paul, what did you like about this episode?
What I liked and I didn't like, I thought the very end scene between Inara and Mal, where she was realizing and had the talk with him of her growing too close to Mal and being hindered by it, like not wanting to leave and basically she needs to move on with her life. I thought it was very true and poignant to the characters that they had built up till now. It hit very well dead center in the emotional, and it made sense with the way
absolutely.
The series and the episode went. I didn't like the outcome, but
of course,
made sense.
Right.
And
it didn't feel contrived. It felt like this was it felt very real. Yeah.
And I bravo to them for the way they handled that. But it's frustrating because I like Inara. I don't want her to leave.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. For me, from what I remember, I really enjoyed the shootout. Just them like held up in the Heart of Gold and like hit all the guys and just cover all the exits and stuff. I thought that's always a fun dynamic in the Western. Yeah, that too. Paul.
Exactly.
So, and I thought it was. I hate that he had this cool laser thing. That's like, oh, here we go. I'll just shoot you all.
Which supposedly had automatic targeting that didn't automatic target.
Didn't target nothing.
Oh,
hey, I got a question. Since they're in the Heart of Gold, does that make them all Golden Girls?
Ah, I like it. Yes, I agree with that.
Just checking.
Sure. That's what that is. Wow. Well, before we get to what we didn't like about this episode, who did you connect with the most? John, obviously Nathan Fillion as Mal.
I will say it was nice to see Wash alive and walking around.
Yes, of course.
Spoiler for the
movie. Paul, who did you connect with the most or like the most?
This one I had a tough time. I even right now, you know what? Oh, River, when she was during the when they were trying to deliver the baby. She says,
yes. And she's like all looking
says,
like,
yeah. And she says the line, "I wonder who's in there."
Yeah.
And just to go on that not a surface level, but another level deeper, thinking like that, I really enjoyed that moment with her. Like, there we go. There's some
absolutely.
Good. Yeah.
Yes. How about you, Dallas?
I think I said this last time, but I think I connected with Mal just because I appreciate how he just has he doesn't put up with crap.
Yeah, pretty much. For me, it's kind of a cheat. I like the Zoe Wash marriage, how they're like kind of wanting kids now and they're trying to navigate that. And so I thought that was good. It was just a brief moment. It wasn't much of the episode, but I liked how they addressed that. And that felt similar to the whole Anara Mal conflict being very real. I felt like that was very real for a marriage and like, how do we do this? We're on a spaceship. It's like,
I'll attest to that because like his whole thing was it was dangerous. And like Celeste and I have legitimately had real life conversations as of late of like, you know, bringing a kid in. Like, so we're getting to the point where like, you know, we're about ready to have kids. It's like, is it safe?
It's
like,
never safe.
I was about to say it's never been safe.
Right. But like just looking at the things happening in the world right now. And it's like, man, it's like, you know.
But hey, Dallas, you got to remember someone has to birth the Antichrist.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks. Appreciate that, buddy.
Sure.
Wow. That's if the Antichrist is actually a person, Paul. It could be a.
Oh, that's right. We've talked about it could be an alien or it could be a
government
you mean like
it could be a body,
a committee.
Yes, a committee, like the committee that killed Firefly. Yes.
I went to one quick story just off that real quick.
Yeah.
Reminded me. Years ago, there was a gentleman that used to be part of my church, and he had some issues, and he was talking to a buddy of mine, and he goes, "Hey, do you think I'm the Antichrist? Is it possible that I could be the Antichrist?" My buddy looked at him and goes, "You know, the Bible tells us that we're going to like the Antichrist, that people will like the Antichrist. I don't particularly care for you."
Well, he said he'll deceive most, not everybody. So, yeah, and with God, all things are possible. So, hey, I'm rooting for you, buddy. You know that you're not the Antichrist, but anyway, you want to take it.
Anyway, let's get in. Speaking of things we don't like the Antichrist, what didn't we like about this episode? Let's start with Paul. What didn't you like so much about this episode? Hearts of Gold.
I hate to say it, and some people have said it before, and I've tried to avoid it, but the graphics on this, the land speeder at the beginning where he's like hovering looks so fake. No, this is decades, not just years, but decades after Star Wars Episode 1, A New Hope, where they had a land speeder that looks legitimately like they did a good job of like showing it float through the desert. This did not. I know they tried to do the same thing, but the effects in it, I know it's a TV versus a movie, but you've had decades to improve on this, or at least match it. And it just takes it, so frustrating. And the what I said before, the auto focusing laser gun did not auto focus.
Yeah. The auto targeting.
Yeah.
Dallas, how about you? What did you not like about this?
I didn't want to say the graphics because I said it last time I was on here. Because they were TV graphics that just don't carry over. So
it's low hanging fruit.
Yeah. Something I did not enjoy was and because it's a sticking point for me was the treatment of the ladies. I know that they were prostitutes, but my dude.
Oh, just in general, the females in general on this.
The females in general, and then like especially that scene where he's forcing himself on the one young lady who had betrayed everybody. Like I have a very small limit for that kind of stuff, and like I was like, all right, let's get this scene over, please, because
we do not need to go this far. Let's go.
Yeah.
So that was me.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel like that helped make him seem even more despicable?
I already disliked
him.
I didn't need that, but yeah, it did. It added to the disgust.
Well,
of the
and
guy.
the whole town. It makes you not even like support any of the people that are on there.
I was ready just to burn the whole town down.
I was about to say, it made me feel that Mao's plan of just leaving the planet should have been a better plan.
Oh yeah, huh, that's a good point. Fair point. For me, I've always been torn, and I guess you could kind of see. I kind of see your point, Paul, about how it's very real, this conflict between Inara and Mal, but that he sleeps with, I forget her name because again I forgot to watch this episode, but the main lady of the Heart of Gold, the head of it, how her and Mal have sort of a flirtation that leads to them sleeping together, and then Inara is sad about it. I'm like, well, you had your chance, Inara.
Yeah.
So that's
waited too long.
Yeah, and I get that it's more complicated than that.
Waited too long, and now you're in the friend zone.
I've been there before.
So that's the thing that has always sort of pricked my ire, got my goat, where the phrase is. John,
your gears. Yeah.
Do you have what's something you don't like about Firefly in general?
The concept.
Like, why'd you get bored?
Because if everybody is Han Solo, then nobody is Han Solo.
Wait, there's only one Han Solo.
No, wait. That's like saying because if everybody's special, then nobody's special. No, everybody's special in their own way. Everybody can be Han Solo.
Nope, not everybody's special, sir.
Well, I disagree with that.
No, you're welcome to disagree. We had this conversation already once.
Rewind if you want to, folks. It would be a retro rewind. But anyway.
We'll timestamp it for you.
Oh my gosh. Probably won't. Anyway, so based on watching this episode, if you did or remembered watching it, would you continue watching the rest of the series, which is only one more episode, but would you continue watching the rest of the series? Dallas, how about you?
All right, so just to understand, like, if I got to this point, or is it this is the
only episode?
This is the only episode.
No, you haven't seen the movie. You haven't seen any other episodes.
It would be hard for me. I'd have to see if this is. I'd have to ask somebody if this was how the entire series was.
Yes, it's all about going planet to planet, rescuing horrors.
Like it really bothered me. So that would be a hard. Like I don't know. We'll see what happens here. And I'm not a big Western person already, and this felt more Western than some of the previous episodes I've seen.
That's true, yeah.
And so it's one of those things like, I mean, dude had a laser from the Dollar Tree, but I don't know.
Yeah, it did look pretty plasticky, junky.
Yeah.
It literally said check battery. I was like,
oh my God.
I thought that was funny. Cheesy. It was like a cop out, but yeah. And by the way, folks who are offended that we're referring to these people as whores, that's because they referred to themselves that way in this episode several times and made a point to do that. So
I wasn't offended, but thank you.
No, but if any listener is.
Fair. Then for me, that's tough. I mean, I like the Western stuff, so I probably would, just because I enjoy that motif. But
the
John,
rescuing of prostitutes.
I am at
what motif?
The Western motif, Paul.
Oh, the space cowboy motif. Okay.
Yes, John. It sounds like you probably wouldn't, just because you got bored of the series.
Not only wouldn't I didn't.
All right.
Good point there. And that we could agree on.
Oh my gosh.
That you didn't.
So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we would, I don't know, would we agree to watch? I guess not.
I would. So we're at a
to keep
tie.
watching.
I'd have to have a conversation with somebody and them explain.
We'll say
to me,
keep
like, okay,
watching. You got one more episode. Just keep it up. But for me, for John, for Dallas, and for Paul, we bid you all good night.
Oh, so I'm so sorry. I didn't realize we were at the end there. Sorry. So you have to. All right.
It's fine.
Sorry. 3, 2, 1.
Don't let the
Space bugs bite.
Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night.
I'll flip it, but you should have had the Firefly one play after that one, because he says good night. Then she could say, "Don't let the space bugs."
All right, I can do it for you for editing purposes for you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night.
Don't let the space bugs bite.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Hey, Star Fox. So now we're going to get into spiritual speculation, guys. So if you need to take a restroom break, water break, go ahead and do that now.
I forgot again.
What'd you forget?
To change my thing to Mal.
Mm.
I'm only going to be able to use it 1 or 2 more times.
Yeah, I forgot too. Yeah, totally. I forgot to do that.
Anyway. No, I
Good
don't.
job,
need a break.
Dallas, though, doing it. Well done.
Yeah, there we go.
Whoa. An animated GIF A. I used to do those.
Yeah.
Then I felt they were just too distracting.
You lack discipline.
I had to get another Kleenex, guys, so I'll be right back.
Do it.
Yeah. Wait for it.
All right. We're almost there, guys. We only have 3 hours to go. It's almost been 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours.
Put the cookie down.
Yes.
No.
Okay, now I'm paying attention. Cellcast says, how are y'all doing? We're doing well. I mean, at least I shouldn't speak for others. I'm doing well. How's it going over there in Central Time, Dallas?
It's going good, man. I don't hear the rain yet.
Well, that's
so
good.
that's a good thing.
Good. So no
we're gonna
blackouts yet.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to have tornadoes tonight.
Oh, fun times.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just curious. Do you have a basement?
No.
Oh, good. Then it won't be flooded.
Right, but see, everything's made of clay. So basements are a no.
Yeah, you're by the river, right?
Yeah, not too far from it.
Yeah, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the tornado warning already passed the cellcast. Wow.
All right.
So that's good. You're past it.
Yeah. Well, for that, that means it's between him and I. Our warning goes until midnight.
Oh, okay. So you're almost there.
Yeah. We'll be fine. It's
couple hours.
Fun story. I have never, over the years, like there have been many tornado warnings.
Yeah.
And the tornadoes have gotten within an hour of me.
Okay.
Jumped, not an hour, within a mile of me. Jumped and landed a mile on the other side of me.
Wow.
Every time. There's been one real close to us. So
No, that's not true.
Ever since I was a kid, it was that way. So
wow. You have an anti-tornado deflecting shield about you.
Yeah, and now that I live in Shreveport next to the base, it's even better because we have the Barksdale bubble.
Oh.
And so we're pretty good.
I don't know what that is, but that sounds interesting.
So we have a Barksdale Air Force Base. And
Right.
The running joke is that there's a bubble that they activate that protects the city.
From with those
storms.
that they manipulate the weather so that they're safe.
Because miraculously things just kind of move around us.
Oh, nice.
Like, and there's
like
radar
people
evidence
moving
of
behind you
storms
right
just
now.
going. Huh?
Like the people moving behind you just
Oh yeah.
now.
Well, I figure if we're gonna get into spiritual speculation, we're gonna have church
with James Brown. I think that's who that is, isn't it?
Looks like James Brown.
I think it's from. Is it from Blues Brothers?
I don't know. I've never seen Blue Brothers. We
What?
once had a tornado
Oh,
destroy
really,
a house
Paul? I
at
didn't
the
know
end of
that.
our street.
I'm surprised you've
Wow.
never seen Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
By the
I know
way,
they're on a
Cellcast,
mission
hopefully
from
your
God,
podcast
but
went
it's
well.
hard to believe. Bobo
Alright,
says that's the Blues Brothers.
Oh, okay. Thumbs up if you guys are ready to go.
I like how
for
John
spiritual
called them
speculation.
Bobo.
You called him Bobo? When was that?
Yeah, that he said our
In the stream?
Bobo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't notice. All right. Were you ready, John, or no, not yet?
I mean, it's like I said, Until I hear Dallas do his thing, I don't have anything. So,
But I mean, are you ready to start? You know,
You ready to pounce on what he says?
Restroom, stuff like that.
I can just go right here.
Nice.
Is he sounding like staticky to you, Paul?
Yeah, he
breaking
is.
up. Breaking up is
talk a bit
hard
more, John.
to do.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Refresh
Can you
your
try-
screen.
Can you try dropping and coming back?
No.
Turn off your background. I wonder if it's his background.
Oh, if it's eating
like
too much
it's taking
bandwidth.
Too much bandwidth.
Yeah, Branson tried doing something similar, and it just killed him.
Okay. Speak again, please, John.
Hello.
Oh, much
Hey,
better.
there he is.
Thank you.
Wow, the voice sounds a lot better too.
The
Great.
voice of John.
The voice of John.
What's
All
that
right.
supposed to mean?
It means what you want it to mean. Okay. Then
No.
we'll go ahead and start.
No, it is not true.
Don't give me lip. Why are you giving me the soft, soothing music?
Okay.
He's about to
Quiet.
give us a dramatic Bible reading.
Give me
Yeah.
like TFK or something. Okay. Here we go.
What's TFK?
Thousand
That's
Foot
the
Crutch.
band.
Crutch.
I love that
F-
band.
The F stop again. That's TFS.
Sorry. Let me make this more Paul speed. Give me some DC talk.
There we go. Did they do a cover of "This Is Halloween"?
They should have.
No, they
All right.
shouldn't have.
I mean, Kevin
Yeah.
Max is probably up for it now.
I'm gonna start, guys.
Wait for it.
Kevin Max is up for anything as long as he's getting $1 out of it.
That's unfortunately probably more the case.
Welcome, Reflux Capacitors, to another spiritual speculation where we take a look at the spiritual themes and promptings that the movies and games we cover on the podcast prompt us to think about. I said prompting twice there. You're welcome. Tonight, our conversation is continuing from our Nightmare Before Christmas episode, which you can check out the review of that at retrorewindpodcast.com/265. You don't have to have listened to that, but sometimes the comedy, if there is any, carries over from the podcast into this spiritual speculation. But before we get into the meat of the conversation, why are you mouthing it doesn't, Paul? It does. Let's go around real quick and say who we are, what our faith life was like growing up, and what we currently believe today. My name is Francisco. I was raised Presbyterian and currently a non-denominational Protestant Christian. Let's go to Dallas next.
Hi, I'm Dallas, and I was raised some mixture of Baptist, Methodist, and non-religious for the most part. I am currently a minister in the Assemblies of God.
Awesome. John.
My name is John, and I was raised non-denominational, and I currently identify as a self-stylized Baptist-costal.
Nice.
Baptist-costal. All right. And Paul.
So growing up, I slowly became the king of Halloween and got bored with it, and then I stumbled over into Christmas Town and found out it was all about celebrating Jesus's birth. So now I follow him
That's fantastic.
because it's better.
Wow. All right. Well, guys, let's talk about the things from this movie that made you think in a spiritual sense. I imagine there were quite a few things, but maybe not. Dallas, let's start with you. What did watching The Nightmare Before Christmas prompt you to think of to make for your next Geek Devotions?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I'm actually pulling from a sermon I did. When I was a
cheater.
kids
No, we
pastor.
need new content. I'm sorry. You can't. No cribbing old stuff.
I mean, I was a kids pastor. That was 8 years ago. So I feel like the time frame's good.
Oh,
Statute of limitations.
point of order. Do you think this movie is a kids movie?
I would say older kids movie. So I would say starting maybe 9, 10 years old, which is roughly when I saw it at first.
Okay.
So, but
It's good for me at 9. It's good for you.
every parent's got to know their kid. You know,
Yeah.
there are kids that they can't handle anything remotely scary. There's some kids that are fine. And then there's some kids that are just permanently scarred and numb. So that's another conversation for another day. No, for me, something that I pointed out from this one that it hits me every time is this conversation about Jack has gone into Christmas land, and he's coming into it with his worldview of Halloween. I know that during the show, the problem that Paul had was that there's this happy, glorious music, but Jack is very confused, and he's talking about these dark and scary things. But for Jack, in his worldview, those weren't terrible things. This was how we do, how they had life. This is how they encouraged each other. This is what they did. And so it was off-putting. And so in that song, it made sense for him to be glorious, but confused at the same time that the things that he normally found joy in, he didn't understand why those things weren't here at the moment. And it's this whole conversation about we cannot expect people who have a different worldview from us to understand when we present Christ, when we present Jesus to them, because it won't make sense. There are things that they're like, well, I normally find pleasure and joy in this. And we're going, but there's a better way. There's a different way. And we have to be patient with people and walk them through and help them to transform their worldview in an appropriate manner. We can't just just shove it down their throats and like, no, this is how it's going to be, because that's just how we turn people away. I look at Jesus when he came to earth.
The woman at
that
the well.
His whole mission in part was to change the worldview of the people. You had a whole segment of
I thought his whole
people.
mission was to save us from our sin.
Well, yeah, but he had to change the worldview because according to the mindset of the Jews at the time, the Messiah, the Mashiach, was coming to be a conquering king in the natural. The concept of sin itself, while there, was not really something they understood completely, whereas Jesus was changing their mindset and doing life with them. And so that's just something that I see Jesus doing. And so a spiritual speculation question for us as a whole is, how do you guys interact with people who have a very different worldview and show them a biblical worldview in grace with love and walk them through to understand this is what Christ is like?
That's a great question. John, why don't you tell us how to do it?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Honestly, I think John does a great job of doing this whole concept of presenting a different worldview.
Let's let John speak for himself. No, go ahead, Dallas. Go on.
Well, because John, John and I've had this conversation as he has a band that's it's a Christian band. They do Christian music, and John has a great testimony about going into the world, going into bars and places and playing music, and it's presenting a very different worldview than everyone else, and that opening doors for real life conversations. And so I feel like John does a great job of doing this, holding to his biblical foundation of certain things, but then also opening doors for things to take place.
I just do it for the lulz.
Normally, yeah.
Right. Because it's hilarious.
It's hilarious seeing people struggle after Jesus. I'm curious what your thoughts on that, John, are. Like, seriously, do you feel like that's accurate? Do you think, no, actually, I see it a different way? Or if you can expand on that, I'd be curious what your thoughts.
I think I kind of need the question to be expanded a little bit as far as, like, are you asking, like, is he accurate as far as me, or?
That's what I'm wondering, is as far as you go, is what Dallas is saying, is that would you say
your motivation and your tactic, or is Dallas?
Am I making up stories about John again?
Yeah.
Well, no,
yeah, exactly.
You're more talking about my last band. My current band is just Christians in a band, and that's it. We don't specifically make Christian music. But my last band, Burning Clean, it was very much focused on, we're going to go into this place, we're going to be unapologetic about what we believe. You know,
that's too bad.
We made every song we made had some form of a Christian message to it. But I mean, we weren't up on the stage making like
turn and burn people.
We weren't making like Westboro Baptist Church or anything, you know.
Yeah.
We would basically go up there and we would sing the songs with the very pointed lyrics, and of course they were sung. They weren't done in like any form of extreme metal vocals, which are somewhat unintelligible to the uninitiated.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, follow along. This little light of mine.
But No, we would go into places, but we kind of decided early on that our main outreach group was the bands we were playing with, because those were the people that we were able to develop relationships with. And if you read throughout the Gospels, how Jesus presented his message was he would develop a relationship with someone first before being just like, blah, you're gonna die and go to hell.
Well, he did that for the Pharisees.
Well, that's because that was out of a certain amount of discernment. When he had the advantage of knowing a person's heart and knowing, so. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Dallas is inaccurate as far as that particular band. It's not so much the case as in my current one.
Okay.
But also my focus for outreach has since Burning Clean, my focus for outreach has kind of transitioned from some form of music to my podcasting, really, because that's really what's been blowing up for me and providing me with the most opportunity.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing your experience with that, John. I'm trying to think for me, and let me make sure I understood the question right, Dallas. It's like, how do we participate in the Great Commission, go out to all the world and make disciples of all men? I think I'm getting that mostly right.
With the power and anointing of the Holy Spirit. That's how. You had to wait like the disciples for that to happen, and then they went out and did that.
Okay. So, but how do we share the gospel with people?
Yeah, how do you share the gospel with people, but understanding, keeping in mind that they have a very different worldview from you, and the things that you're presenting to them don't make sense.
I think the way I tend to do it, and I don't know if this is necessarily the right way to do it, but I do my best. So I start off with trying to do my best to have a heart posture and a mind, heart posture and wisdom that is connected with God. Like I'm in the Bible, I'm going to church, I'm absorbing the message, I'm trying to reflect on it, I'm doing devotions or discipleship with other believers, and so that it's almost like a it's how I live my life in a way that's in accordance with Christ, that where I am doing my best to
you said it again, your best.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best.
Well, I'm not perfect, Paul, so it has to be my best. Trying to live out the works that Christ made for me beforehand. And so as long as I'm in sort of as much unity with God as I can be, I feel like then when I am presented with, and when I am in spaces with other people that don't believe that, I don't have to feel like unconfident of my belief. I'm like, this is what I believe. You can take it or leave it. I can hear what you have to say. I'm going to share what I have to say. Whereas I think if maybe newer Christians that may not feel as safe in those settings because they don't have a secure faith, but it's way easier to be swayed by like some atheist that's a pseudo intellectual that sounds, that maybe waxes poetically but isn't really saying much that makes sense. If you don't have like a stronger foundation, it's like, I mean, it'd be very easy to see like, well, that's interesting. I guess I could give that more thought, but I don't really agree with that. Whereas like, oh my gosh, my faith is shaken. I think you're right. So I think first off, having security in your own faith, and then being willing to be in spaces like, for instance, I'm online on Twitch. I have people that come into the streams that I've had atheists, I've had Wiccans, I've had other people that don't believe what I believe, but I want them to be able to share what they believe. And I know that that's not going to undermine my beliefs, and I can still pray for them. I can still ask them how they're doing. I can still image God well, I think. And then I think by having that opportunity of them experiencing someone that believes something different from them, that it may just be planting seeds for someone down the road that is in their life that gives them that shares the gospel with them, or maybe it's me at some point where I'm able to share, hey, this is the gospel. This is what Christ died, he rose again to pay for all our sins that we could never pay for, so that we could have eternal life with God. Essentially, sharing that, I think, doesn't come from an authentic place if you're not secure in it, and especially in an online space when you're not meeting one-on-one. I think that's even more valuable, that you have a good sense of who you are in Christ. Not that I'm perfect by any means. I still have seasons of doubt, and there's my own issues, but
I think that's the whole point, is that we're not perfect and we need Christ.
Yeah, and then we need Christ all the more. Exactly. Did they answer your question at all, Dallas?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's sounds like you just talked about, presenting in grace, and I think some of it comes from a level of humility of understanding. We've all been at that point where we realize maybe we've had an incorrect worldview, and then when we have that mindset, we walk into and talking to people, we have the grace to speak to them a little bit better. Example, like I remember the day when I had the revelation, and it was a revelation to me that perhaps it's not appropriate for you to have your girlfriend live with you. And that seems simple, but that was a revelation to me. Growing up, all I had ever known was, if you're dating somebody, they live with you. My dad, every girl that he ever dated, lived with him. Stayed in his bed. That's all I'd ever known.
Yeah.
And I remember I was probably 17 years old, and I had the walk, fortunately through discipleship, had the revelation of like, oh yeah, this is not an appropriate action to have.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking through my life goals,
step by step. Yeah.
I remember thinking through my life goals, like, okay, get a girlfriend, maybe we'll get a house together at some point, and then having this revelation, like, no, that's not honoring of God. That's not a biblical worldview that I should have. I have to make a change. And so having that going, I myself have worldviews that I've had to change to be biblical, has forced me to be more graceful, or at least it should force me to be more graceful with people when I'm dealing with them. Going,
it allows me to be more graceful. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gives you that opportunity to allow you to be more graceful, so that you can relate. Yeah.
How about you, Paul?
It's hard to know what people are thinking, and sometimes, I know sometimes the spirit of discernment isn't as strong as it should be. So I tend to lean on what Jesus said in Matthew 5:16, to let your light shine before men, so they can see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven.
Right.
And then let God sort it out. Like, take my oily rags, my my works, and hopefully he can manipulate, is the wrong word, but he can do something with what I have, at least before people, and then let God work on their heart and minds. And that doesn't mean that I don't have an answer, like when people ask, but it also doesn't mean I don't have to worry about like if everybody's getting it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I try not to, like you said, shove it down their throat, but that doesn't mean I try not to shy away, but often there are moments when I do, and hopefully God uses that for his glory in the end, whether I do or don't.
Right.
But honestly, I'm the kind of person, like, I believe there's a time and place. Like, there's a time and place to shout the message, and there's a time to be quiet. There's a season for everything. So those people who say, oh, you shouldn't be out on the corner shouting because that's not going to do anything, you honestly don't know. When we get to heaven, you don't know who's going to be saved and what seeds work well and don't. So I'm not going to say to anybody, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, because God can use that. So, I'm going to do my thing the way I think works, and you do your works, and hopefully God will sort it out. At least that's typically my approach.
That makes sense. How do you do it, Dallas?
Kind of what I mentioned. I when I talk with people, when I deal with people, I try to come up with a level of grace of understanding. They legitimately just may not get it through various reasons. Their worldview is skewed by the world. Their worldview is skewed by the poor representation of Christianity at times. And so I try to be graceful. I try to be loving, and I go, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is how I do it. And I try to say, follow me as I follow Christ, basically, and showing love to people at the same time. And I think that for me, that's been successful. Of going, this is how I do it. You can rock with me or not. That's up to you. Because I think, and we all understand.
Rock.
I don't
want to rock with you
all night.
Right.
Hold on. What is that behind you, John?
That is a wonderful film.
I think it's about people who are Christ-centered, looking for Christ's
goblet.
Yeah.
Just
in a fallen world. But maybe I could be wrong on that. Where were we?
Anyway, Dallas, continue.
No, for real, is like, we have to have the revelation that none of us save people. Like Dallas Moore, do not save people. PaulJPowers.com cannot save a person.
Yeah.
Right.
Christ saves people, but he uses us to present Christ. He uses us to show God's love, and the Holy Spirit uses us to draw people at times. And so we have to come at that with a level of grace and peace, understanding that we ourselves were sinners also who are simply saved by grace. And when we come with that love towards people, with that same, again, it's just a mindset of grace towards people, I feel like it's more effective. I feel like when some people come out there and they're trying to force in, this is the mindset you have to have, we're just putting up roadblocks that don't need to be there. By nature, we as humans don't like to be told what to do to begin with. And then to have it just bashed and pop people's heads causes issues.
So
why do
you think apologetics tend to be popular, though? Because that's a very mind way of getting at the gospel as opposed to a heart way. Or
I think it's a matter of situation. Apologetics in itself was not a bad thing because it taught you how to defend the faith when having a logical conversation with individuals. If I'm sitting down with a conversation with friends and they're going, hey, this is what I see, this is what I know, that's one thing for you to explain your faith to help you do some stuff. The problem that I do see with apologetics is that you have people who have taken it and they've weaponized it to be intellectually superior to others rather than showing grace to God, to people, and pointing them to Jesus. A lot of times
it is the sword of the Bible, but it is a double-edged sword and it can be used in a negative way. I see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it could be done both ways. I've studied a lot of apologetics over the years, and it has been very helpful for me to explain my faith and to answer questions people have. At the same time, I know that I've experienced. I was in a Bible study with some individuals who were very versed in their theology, and they quoted quite a few theologians. My issue was they quoted more theologian than they did Bible, but that's a conversation for another day. But they weaponized apologetics, they weaponized Bible study, not to help people to know Christ, not to help people become saved, not to help people be free from bondage, but to make themselves look better.
Oh, to build them up rather than. Though it reminds me of that. Who was the name of the sorcerer that wanted to know the power to?
Simon.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of Simon, who wanted to use it for his own glory rather than for God's.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as a Pharisee. It's that Pharisaical mindset of I have all the knowledge, I'm all the stuff. You shall come to me, and at the same time, let me show you how lowly I am by how long my tallit is and how it drags on the ground. And those were the very things that Jesus warned against. Yeah. And it's, when I look at the scriptures, it talks about wisdom, talks about everything about doing that stuff. There is a level of grace we have to have with people. Our knowledge, our experiences are not designed for us to make people go look at us. They're designed for us to go, hey, look at how good Christ is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Another thing that I don't like about apologetics is they have a horrible board game. It's so boring. The game Sorry.
Oh. No, I thought you were talking about the band Apologetics.
I was about to say some of their covers are a bit hard. Just.
I didn't say band. I said board game.
Okay, I haven't played the board game, so I don't know.
The board game, sorry, you've never played it?
Yeah, but I'm taking the term definition of apologetics to explain what you mean rather than to.
And I'm riffing on the word because it sounds like apologize.
Are you
Well,
doing
I'm
apologetics for your
apologizing
joke?
why I'm thinking the way I am.
It's too late to apologize.
Too late.
Oh my goodness.
Your goodness is just filthy rags, Francisco. We've gone over that.
Have we though? When did we go over that?
I believe Mr. PJP was talking about it earlier.
No, don't go there. I think it's. Like, I think it's anyway.
Are you doing a comedy right now? Yes, I am. Didn't you laugh, Baba?
Are you not entertained?
Exactly. Let's see. So that was Dallas's question. Any other thoughts?
That entire
Dallas's
thing was
question?
just Dallas' answer to your question to begin with.
No, not my question. That
How
was
do
you.
you
That was,
apologize?
No, I'm
how do
saying
you witness.
this whole thing was his answer to your. Does anybody
Yes.
have any spiritual takeaways?
Yes. How I am curious. How is that
basically,
connected?
Dallas took the podcast.
How is that connected with Nightmare Before Christmas again?
Because it was a matter of Jack has entered into a world that he doesn't understand. He has a worldview of Halloween. And so for him, it doesn't make sense for people finding joy in these other things. He finds joy in throwing heads and poison and stuff like that.
Was he trying to share Halloween Jesus with Christmas Jesus though?
It was
to Christmas people.
It was a mindset. It was a conversation about approaching people with different worldviews.
No,
and
I
helping
need
them
something
understand.
more literal to the movie, Dallas. Come on now. Give you a hard time. Okay, no, that makes sense though. Thank you for reconnecting it for me. Paul, what spiritual topic did Nightmare Before Christmas prompt for you?
Basically, this reminded me this part of when Sally is running away from her maker, Dr. Finkelstein. It reminded me how God made us, and we run away. Mankind runs away from their creator. That's as far as the analogy goes, I think, especially in this movie. But it's interesting how that.
Well, we did try to kill God. He didn't stay dead, but
yeah, it's a theme that it's not only in this movie, but is in a lot of things that pops up. Whether it's a father rejecting their son, or a son rejecting their father or mother, or their creator. In this case, with Sally and Dr. Finkelstein, how much that carries over. It's just interesting. That's my observation. I couldn't come up with a question based on it, though.
Well, here, Paul, this might connect with it. My topic, it gets into free will versus predestination from a unique angle.
Oh, here we go.
This will be a great conversation.
We've been avoiding this topic of predestination versus free will for a while.
Somebody grab a shrubbery. It's going to be a long one.
Yeah. Maybe that would be a better quest. I don't know. No, go for it. What? Okay. You've avoided this topic yourself. We've in the past tried not to make it go on that long. We briefly touched on it before.
Yeah, and I don't know.
So, how are you going to avoid the topic this time?
I certainly don't have more like study or information to bring to it, but here's how it could. I'm saying it could go that direction. I don't know if it will. Okay, so in this movie, we have Jack, and I may be attributing the wrong motives to him. We don't have to go in the minutia of whether or not I'm right about his motives. To me, though, the way I experienced the movie was that, like Dallas, for yours, you were saying he was going to Christmas Town, and he was, and yours was like, how do we present our ideas in a place where they may not be ready for him? I was wondering how he even gets to that point to begin with, because he seems very melancholy, very forlorn after the first Halloween where we're experiencing the movie at the beginning.
How did he get bored of doing the same thing over and over?
Yeah, so he gets bored of no. Well, here's the thing: in Halloween Town, he's conceivably made to be the king of Halloween, and so it's almost like the thing he was made to do, and he's bored of it to go out and do something completely else that's against what he's made to do. I guess, so my question to you is sort of twofold. One, if God made you do something, do you think you'd really get bored of it? And
Absolutely. I think like the idol's
okay.
hands are the devil's playground. You can get bored of doing the right thing, and the devil will distract you with many opportunities to.
But
do
then
the
you're
wrong thing.
then okay. Then Jack's doing the wrong thing essentially. That's just because you're
I think
tempted.
that's what this movie's about. Him
okay. Well, I mean that's fair. But just because you're tempted doesn't mean that you should go out and do something else.
Right.
Right.
So
don't go chasing waterfalls. I think we covered that in the main episode.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes. So do you think that there's a level of Jack wanting to use his free will to go out, but was he destined to go out and experience Christmas, or was he destined to just stay in Halloween Town and he's going against that? I don't know if that's really a free will versus predestination question, but what do you guys make of that?
I think you were predestined to ask that of your own free will.
In a discussion. We're going to go.
John, you look like you have some thoughts. I think you're muted, John.
Let me try that again. I don't think we're really talking about predestination versus free will so much as
I said it might have been. But
okay. If you don't want my answer, don't ask for it. I think you're more talking about fate. Was he fated to do that? Okay. Which, my people, the Finns, the Vikings, they had a strong belief in fate that, you can only do what you're fated to do, and that's that. So, I mean, it's just, is there fate or is everything up to chance? And if everything's up to chance, then how can prophecy be a thing? But, it's a gross place to go with, and I don't have the knowledge to really flesh it out, especially being as the question was only presented here and now.
That's how we roll.
But if you want to go the whole, was he fated to do it? Well, I mean, the Bible says that God works all things out to the good of those who are called to those whom he loves and are called according to his purpose. Mm-hmm. And things were made right, for Saint Nicholas. And if he is an actual saint, then of course he is loved by God and called according to his purpose. So, it was a learning experience for Jack, and it provided an opportunity for a saint to set things right and demonstrate the true love of God, and showing the appropriate way to share that experience with Halloween Town at the end, rather than wholesale emulation.
Okay, though, did Santa really save him? I thought Jack saved him and Sally.
Well, Jack saved them from Oogie Boogie.
Yeah.
But Santa saved Christmas, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Well,
because Jack had ruined it. Yeah,
well, not always. Sometimes he needs help.
From the elves, yes.
Well, according to Rankin Bass, even a miracle needs a hand.
Yeah. So you pray, and I'll work.
Okay.
That whole song is all worked. I don't know if you've noticed.
Well, not all. It has both.
I've never seen that movie, so I don't know.
You never saw the Night Before Christmas?
'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Check it out, folks. That's some good theological debates in there.
Okay, interesting. I'm curious. Maybe you can unpack this for me, John. I'm curious the difference between, you said, fate and chance versus predestination and free will. They sound synonymous. I guess I could see how they aren't, but can you give me why they're distinct? They're not the same. Like, how is fate and predestination not the same? Let's start with that.
I believe that predestination leans more into who you are to be.
Okay.
Whereas fate is what you are to do.
All right. I mean,
basically,
I guess that's different.
predestination determines who you are, whereas the idea of fate has less of who you are and more like this is going to happen.
Oh, I guess I thought predestination as both, like who you're supposed to be and what you're gonna do. Like you don't have a choice in the things you do; you're just gonna do them, almost like
just from my conversations with other with my brothers and sisters in the Calvinistic world. It is a matter of predestination. It's a predestination of all things. There's an infamous story about I'm not going to get names or places, but there was a church where it was a Calvinistic church, and the pastor's wife in the middle of service got up and says, "God has spoken to me. I'm saved now." Like God granted her salvation in that moment. This is the pastor's wife. They've been doing ministry for years, and it was predestined that at that moment she would receive salvation. And so it's a matter of salvation. It's God has planned out everything that you will do, say, and be, is my understanding of the Calvinist worldview.
Okay, so that's why it seemed like fate to me. But if fate is limited to just the things you will do, I could see how that's maybe a subset of predestination, but it doesn't describe all of predestination. But to you, John, it sounds like they were different. They were distinct in a lot of, and they were more distinct than that, and that's fair. I'm not expecting you to give me the exact definitions of all the things.
Well, let me put it more like this then.
Okay.
The movie. Have you? I know I'm probably barking up the wrong tree with this, but the Final Destination movies.
Yeah,
I've never seen them. I know of them.
The whole concept is these people were fated to die.
Yeah. Which I don't get. We're all fated to die.
And
they were supposed to die in a specific way, in a specific time.
Yeah. And by some thing that happens in each movie, a certain group of people who are supposed to be involved in this tragic death scene manage to skip out on it. And then the whole rest of the movie, no matter what people are doing, they're going to die at some point because death has a plan that it has to stay with the entire time. So no matter what you do, no matter what kind of person you are, you're going to die because you have to die because that was your fate.
Okay. Yet you didn't die. So was it your fate anyway?
That was the thing. They cheated fate.
It's
how do you cheat
to die?
It's
to die once and then judgment.
Yes.
So we all have that fate.
I'm just saying that's silly to me because
what, you talk it up with God then. He wrote it.
No. If it's your fate, yes, it's everyone's fate to die. The idea that you cheated your fate, you didn't because you're still gonna die. You're right. That's a different movie. We're not covering that.
It's a complicated issue. I mean, you talk to what do you call Christian scientists who believe like, oh, they should be able to pray their way through a disease or something rather than take medicine. But what they choose to leads to their own death, but God foreknew if they would choose. So are they predestined or they chose their own will? Well, it gets murky and complicated.
Murky, yeah.
We're getting into a part of this conversation I don't want to have because I'm going to end up offending somebody.
It's okay if you offend people. That happens. That's going to happen. You can't go through life not offending.
I'm here to shine my light. I don't know if people are going to get offended or not. And whether that light is dim and really murky, sorry.
I feel like it's a much more matter of intention. Like, are you purposely trying to offend someone? If not, then you can't control other people's feelings. Go ahead.
Here's the thing: these types of conversations, I say in quotes.
This is a conversation.
No,
I don't think that they're very profitable. In that, I have a tendency to side with Alistair Begg. Props to him. He has a saying he says a lot where he says, the main things are the plain things, and the plain things are the main things. We don't have definitive answers for this. So is this a principal concept that we should really spend our Christmas, or should we be about doing the Father's business? And that's kind of where I'm at on it. I can talk about it up to a point, but when you start getting into, we need to find a definitive answer to this, or we need to hash this out, I think that it starts to become a little bit unprofitable, because a lot of people have a lot of emotions that have a tendency to be built up on these concepts. Well, interesting aren't necessary for the sake of salvation.
Well, this is spiritual speculation, not spiritual salvation. This is about having those issues that we're never.
So what you're saying, salvation isn't important on this part of the podcast?
Exactly. Salvation is never important. We're not talking about.
I'm predestined to be offended by that.
No, what I'm trying to get at is that these are.
I'm using my free will to choose that.
These are the topics that we're never going to land 100% on, and
on this side of eternity.
On this side of eternity, we can't hope to know whether it's soul sleep, or if it's absent from the body to be present with the Lord. I know, Paul, you said that's not exactly what that means, but that's the only.
Or if there's time in heaven, we'll have time to figure it out.
That's what these conversations are supposed to be about, is like digging into those things, like why, and actually like, why do you think that? And just sort of formulating these concepts, or fleshing out these concepts in a way that, I never really thought about that. It doesn't really matter to my salvation, but it's interesting. That's what this is supposed to be. I'm sorry to give you the memo on that. I blame Dallas. He is supposed to do your expression, Dallas.
This is your bed. You made it. You sleep in it.
What? My bed. But okay, let's get back to the Nightmare Before Christmas, though, because I'm trying to suss out if. Okay, so the verse that I found that sort of goes along with this is Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10. Paul is writing, "For we are his workmanship," Jesus' workmanship, "created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand so that we would walk in them." And I'm reading I think this is New American Standard Bible version. So if God, and I realize Jack isn't a Christian, and this is speaking to Christians, but saying that aside, Ramses was not a Christian, and God made him as a vessel for his wrath and destruction. So if we're made for a certain calling, we can have different interests, and I think that's where free will sort of comes into play. But if we're made for a certain calling, Jack's calling, say, was to be the king of Halloween Town, or of Halloween or parade, or whatever it was. I know he's not the mayor. He's not in politics, apparently, but he's the skeleton king or pumpkin king. If that's his calling, his purpose, do you think it made sense for him to try to go away from that purpose and essentially wasted time in something that he wasn't called to do? Do you think there was anything to gain from that? Do you think he really learned all that much more about where he was supposed to be from that?
I would say that you're going too deep with it.
That's the point, John. That's the point.
Let me get it out before you start cutting me off.
Please.
But you'll notice on that level, there's no religion involved in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so basically it's less of a, was he predestined to do that? Or is it more of a, is it okay to go visit other cultures and possibly have a misunderstanding about those cultures? Because that's really what this movie is. It's about cultural differences.
Well, but I'm getting at the point of, I realize, sure, that's what the movie is trying to be about, but I'm just like thinking of Jack as a character. If he is made for something unique, is it really a value for him to go and do something that's completely against what he is made to do?
There's always value in anything. It just depends on if you're willing to look for it.
There's not value in anything.
Sure there is. There's value in becoming the Antichrist, because look how much power you have.
Oh, see, you can tell your kids that, Dallas.
Oh, no.
Lord.
But But
this is when Geek Devotions and Retro Rewind podcast parted ways. Who knew? It was predestined.
I blame the Antichrist.
So, Francisco, like,
yes,
with your question you're asking about,
yeah,
is it beneficial for him to have gone off and done that? Are you asking from a Calvinistic versus an Arminianist point of view, or are you just asking period?
I'm asking. Let's bring this back in the realm of Christianity. Dallas, I think that is probably was in God's purpose for you and Celeste to create Geek Devotions. Would it make sense for you to now go and spend a lot of your time making content about muscle cars?
If it's where God called me to go, or
no. You decide. That's Geek Devotions thing.
No,
whoa,
Dallas,
cars! I love cars.
I
want to go talk about
Francisco's
muscle
trying
cars.
to make.
That's hard to argue because he could say, sorry, I'll let Dallas answer it, but I just want to interject that it's hard. I would imagine that's hard to answer because even if Dallas had not prayed and sought the Lord's direction in creating muscle cars, one could argue that God put that desire in his heart and for him to go in that direction. So it could be God's will or not. Again, we don't know until the other side of eternity.
Right.
Also, the question then remains, if you want to go with the idea of predestination, just because he failed doesn't mean he wasn't called to do that.
Okay, and that's fair. Maybe, and so I'm trying to get out. So I guess ultimately this all goes to this goes to the question where we ask a lot. How do we know we're living into whatever we're being called to do? Like, is there
like 100%?
Is there any assurance?
Unless you have an angel visit you.
For me, like so legit. Like recently, Celeste and I, we were kind of revisiting the early days of Geek Devotions and getting it started, and we were being interviewed by a lady for an article that was being written about Geek Devotions, and so Celeste and I were kind of like reviewing ourselves what it was like, and in those early days of starting Geek Devotions, there were questions like, do we need to be doing this? Is this something? Right. Rushmore Geek Garage. That's funny. But, is this what we need to be doing? And for me, I felt like the Lord gave me confirmations through various means. One confirmation for us for doing Geek Devotions was we got a comment on one of our videos from a young lady who was from the UK. She was agnostic. She had no concept she didn't really care about religion necessarily, but she found our show fascinating, and it opened a door for her to go, man, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And for me, that was a confirmation for us. Another confirmation was down the road where there was a person that was going through some very difficult things, and we had the opportunity to help them out and walk them through some stuff and really help them get some freedom from some major bondage they're going through. And so for me, it's a matter of sorry, it's thunder and lightning outside. Nice. The long game of walking things out, taking that step of faith, going, Lord, I'm going to trust you in this. To your same point, at what point did Joseph know that he was in the will of God when he was in prison for 20 some odd years? Yeah. He felt like he needed help to interpret the dreams of a couple guys, and he helped those guys out, and then he's left to suffer in jail for years. He didn't understand that God's plan and purpose for him was for years later when he was, his brothers had gone on, his dad had another kid. They just assumed he was dead, and now he's been set up in a position of ability to save not just his family but the nation as a whole.
Yeah.
Right. Which begs which always leads me to the question. Sorry, this is going off topic, but if it was in the will of God for Joseph to be in Egypt at that time, so when the famine came, they could feed all of God's people through the resources of Egypt. At what point did it not become God's will for Israel to be in Egypt? I think it was before they became slaves. But at what point does that transition happen? Nobody was aware enough to say, hey, let's get out of here before God needs to intervene and make us leave.
Well, even then, them going into slavery was part of God's punishment on them for their disobedience.
But again, we don't know. It's just like Dallas could be like, oh, it may not have been part of God. Oh, here we go, man. Why do you say things like this? we don't know if it was part of God's quote unquote holy divine will and part of his plan for him to start Geek Devotions, even though he had these confirmations. One could argue that, God could have used that and made these confirmations happen, make good of what he's doing anyway.
Mhm.
That one could argue on that side as well. Again, to what John was saying, we don't know this, go ahead.
So I had a conversation with a buddy of mine years ago when I was very young in the Lord and was really starting my journey. And he was telling me about this book he read about prayer and about hearing from God, getting direction from God. And it was kind of walking you through kind of the basics of Christian discipline, reading your Bible, being in prayer, fasting, things like that. And it walked him through this entire process. And in the last chapter, maybe it was like 2 pages long. And it really boiled down to this one simple sentence. If you've done all this and you're still trying to figure out what God wants you to do, pick something. Because if you're doing all this, you're walking in the will of God. You're walking in the thing. You're being sensitive to the Holy Spirit. You're being sensitive to what God has for you. He's going to bless whatever you put your hand to at this point.
Yeah.
Because you're being genuine with whatever you're seeking.
Yeah. I think if you don't, then you're sort of caught in the whole, like, the guy that got the one talent and just buried it, didn't do anything with it. And that was the greater sin. Like the master said, you should have just gone put in the bank if you weren't going to do anything with it. So yeah, that's a fair point. So I guess that gets back to what we were saying before about how trying to be in the Word, connected with a body of believers, doing discipleship, doing God's work. That's not really the way I want to put it. Doing living a life that's honorable to God as best you can. And if you're doing those things, I think that sensitizes you. Is that the opposite of desensitize? I guess so. Sensitizes you to the Holy Spirit, or at least can. And then hopefully if you're unsure of things, then you're going to be probably in a better place to be prayerfully, give that to God and be prayerfully aware of where he is leading you.
Sure.
John, do you have, John, I'm feel free, if this gets into stuff that you can't share, you don't have to. How do you feel like with your band? You said you're in a band Burning Clean, and now you're in another band. How did you feel? What was the journey of, like, God, how you heard from God? Yeah, you should leave this band and go be with this other band. Is that not really how it happened? I'm just curious. How do you sort of get a sense from God where when you should pivot and do something else, like playing Game of Strangers or any of these myriad of things? Like, oh yeah, this is where God sort of leading me to go.
I would agree with what you had said there a couple seconds ago, Francisco, in that you have a certain sensitivity to what God wants you to do. When Burning Clean got to the end of its tenure, we were having a problem hanging on to drummers at a certain point. And due to certain things that were happening behind the scenes, I was getting some spiritual red flags from one of our band members. And I just threw out the question one night in our band chat that we had on Facebook. And I said, hey, look, this is going to sound weird coming from me, but I need to throw this out there because I have a check on my spirit right now. And I need to ask this. And I said, what is your opinion? I asked, what is your guys' opinion on the infallibility of Scripture and it being the Word of God? And everybody gave the expected Christian answer to it, except for the one person I was having some doubts about. He goes, well, I don't believe that the Bible is the Word of God.
Whoa.
Well, that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
and so
something that could be brought to my attention yesterday.
And so, well, it was over a course, because back when he had first joined the band, he was very focused on the things of God, but he was starting to kind of cool himself with in the world. And he had started joining the Sorry, the shifting in this is making me lose my focus here.
Thanks a lot, Dallas. Jeez, why you gotta do that?
But now I lost where I was at.
So he said, "I don't believe in the."
Oh right, yeah. So over the course of time, he the way he behaved, the Bible says you can know a tree by the fruit it produces, and the fruit he was producing was not that of the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a good, yeah.
So me and the other guy who had started this band together, we had a conversation. It's like, I'm like, I feel really gross about this. I can't go forward in this band if it's going to be like this. And he said the same thing. He's like, God's really put it on me too. Same response. And so we both decided that night we can't go forward with this and expect God to bless something where somebody is actively denying the core tenet of what we're based on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas, so from that point, I shifted over to the whole just a band with this current band I'm in, because I didn't really feel the same lead to have that focus. We're all Christians in a band. We're all at different parts of our walk. But that's not really what the focus of the band is. We just, it's become less of a thing of ministry and more of a thing of personal amusement and satisfaction. And I kind of shifted my my field of ministry over to podcasting. And I've come at it hard because I'm involved in 7 podcasts.
All the podcasts.
All the podcasts. You are listening to John Devotions. No.
I'm still taking over Retro Rewind podcast, so you can have Geek Devotions.
I'm like a virus.
Both are ridiculous. No, so I'm just gonna let you get your natural stopping point, John, and then wait for Paul to come back. So continue until you're like done.
I think I pretty much am done.
Okay, cool.
I can circle the point many times, but it just comes down to the fact that God sensitizes you to get to your current situation, and it basically just feels gross once you're standing outside of God's will. If you've gotten so acclimated to being within it, because it's sort of like when you're standing next to somebody in a pool and you've adjusted to the cold water around you, and they stand a little bit too close and the water starts to get a little bit too warm, and you're just like, I feel yucky now.
Yeah, we had you talk about things you didn't want to talk about. I understand why you feel yucky.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean, I get the point that if we're not talking about like core gospel things, are we just wasting our time? We could speak to that. I personally don't think so, and here's why. I feel like there is time for studying those core, those foundational elements, the Bible, the simple things, the back to basics, so to speak, of Christianity. And those are important to always return to, always go back to the Bible, because we forget so often, just like the people of Israel, always forgetting, oh, I should go worship a golden calf now. Yeah, I think that's right. No, that's you always want to go back to that. The value I find in these types of conversations is it almost colors the basic parts. It's like, I mean, I'm not really a sports guy, or it's almost like, this is a music analogy. Let's see if I get this right. It's like adding a new, let's see, you got your basic melody, that's the Bible, that's your prayer time, but then adding maybe a different rhythm to it, or adding a harmony to it. Religion? No, Paul.
Okay.
No, like just this is adding the speculations onto the core.
Oh, you
thing
mean like adding a Bible study and adding a choir practice and is that what you mean? That's not quite what I'm saying. But you go to 2 services on Sunday morning, not just one.
Paul, this is an analogy for John, not for you. I can construct another one for you if you would like.
You're adding in the watchtower. I get you.
Oh my god!
I'm trying to understand what you're adding to the Bible, like Joseph Smith,
or you start to read the writings of Mary Baker Eddy,
or even the leaves from Sally and her premonitions.
No, I get what you're talking about, Francisco. You're talking about you start adding different expressions of this relationship with God, but
thank you. Yes,
you lose track of the original melody.
I'm not trying to say that.
Well, some people do.
I guess you can. I guess you can if you get. Yeah. That is a what's the word? Not a downside.
Danger.
That is a danger. Yes, that is a danger.
A risk.
A risk.
A risk I'm willing to take. I don't know that, but this is where I find. I don't know. I find a lot of joy in having these conversations and hearing what other people think about these concepts. And sometimes they unlock other things that we wouldn't have talked about or we haven't talked about a long time. But
I think in a safe, appropriate space, these conversations are great. The problem is so often, and I'm with John, sometimes I'm uncomfortable with some of these conversations. I know this is a safe place, so I'm cool with it.
You can just been
in the room
you can leave now, Geek Devotions. You don't have to be here in this unsafe space. You can leave.
But I've been in spaces where it's not been healthy, where it's been inappropriate, where it's gotten violent for some cases.
Really?
And like, in fact, I was at a Bible study that was made up of a very particular group of individuals with a buddy of mine. And we walked out and my friend felt defeated and he felt beaten down and not encouraged because the conversation went into some of these conversations and he walked out. And again, it was kind of that whole conversation we had earlier about weaponizing apologetics. That's what had happened. And instead of anything being life-giving, my friend and several others walked out feeling beat up and bruised, not to the glory of Christ, but just bullied. And he was questioning things. He's even questioning, is he really walking what God has for him? Because he can't roll with these cats.
Right.
And
I've been part of those conversations too. Yeah.
Now it opened up a
Were
great
you the one giving them, Paul, or taking them?
I hope not. I honestly would not be shocked if I was, because like I said, I don't know, but I know I've been on the time where I felt bullied.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but like I said, now on the flip side of that conversation with my friend, it opened the door for some really great things to take place in his life, and some stuff happened. Some great conversation come out that night between him and I. So that's, again, I get John's apprehension because these conversations get stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
But again, I know this is a safe place. I know that we're friends. That we're brothers
safe
and
place.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but John doesn't know that. He's new to this, so that's
well, he can have a sense. I mean, he hasn't hung up on us yet, so that's a good sign. But
right.
Oh, is that an option?
Oh, well,
it's always an option, John. You don't have to be here.
But at the same time, John knows that I wouldn't be hanging out with you guys if you guys were buttholes. So, it's because John's been with me for a while.
Out with me, so I don't know that.
Well, true story. So about those 12 podcasts you're part of with Geek Devotions, John. No, but
wow.
But no, for reals. Like, again, you guys have a creative space where we can have these conversations where it is safe. But I get the apprehension of like, is this okay? Is this safe to talk about this stuff? Because some people get in their pride. We're all here willing to go, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
and that's
I guess
the only time these conversations are appropriate is if we're willing to say, maybe I'm wrong. And as long as we understand that some of the stuff that maybe we're wrong on is not salvific, it has no reason. Doesn't, we can roll with it, but there is a point where we're just spinning our wheels and going for 2 hours asking ourselves if Jack the Pumpkin King was really predestined to go to Santa Claus Land or not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
we may be beyond that point.
Yes, you did miss the whole review, Neko. What am I trying to say?
I don't know, but you keep talking, so this is keep going.
I guess I'm being self-reflective now. Like,
we've hit a nerve on something that's affecting you personally. That's why we're okay. So how are
this
you?
is my therapy session, Paul. Thank you very much for attending.
All right, this has just become a much more safer space. Okay. So how is this impacting you? What are you questioning?
No, I don't think I'm really questioning anything. I thought that was just a funny riff.
Aha. He says in jest, but many a true word are.
He's gonna be Presbyterian next week.
Give me my tulip right here. No, I'm wondering about so why did we start these spiritual speculations? I remember a lot of it came out of the book Cinemagogue that I really was affected by and really enjoyed how he broke down movies and how looking for the spiritual truths in them. And so I think this was an outpouring of that. And so I'm just reflecting on what this is, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And I remember me and Paul always had these types of conversations too.
Is it worthy? Are we in? Is this God's will that we are having this conversation? And
right? Were we were predestined to have this, or is this just us free willing?
10 years of an answer right here.
We haven't been doing spiritual speculation for 10 years.
No,
Paul,
but the whole podcast, yeah. I remember us having questions.
I'm not really questioning the podcast. I'm just wondering about this component of it.
He's closing the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it first here, live on the air. Francisco's closing the podcast.
I am not closing the podcast. That's not what I said at all. Mr. takes pictures of you looking all cool and me looking all, and Paul looking like, oh, what's going on? And John looking like, oh, what's going on? And
you should check the Discord.
Oh my, what? I'm looking at the Discord. What is happening?
When Francisco
what? Oh my gosh! Why?
There have been worse when he eats beans.
But wait, there's more.
Nice.
Why are we? Oh my gosh! Why?
Why are we focusing on these pictures right now?
I know. I need to focus more on this. No, I am thinking out loud, and maybe this is more of a conversation for me and Paul, but just thinking out loud about the value of these conversations. I think they're interesting. I'm the type of person that likes hearing podcasts and whatnot about Bigfoot and Chupacabra and stuff that we may never know. I mean, we may never know. They're mysteries, and I like sort of thinking about them. I think I wonder if that ultimately leads me to the mystery that is God, and so much that is unknown of God. And I like just thinking about how there's all this vastness that I'll never know, and I'm okay sitting in that unknownness. Other people may be scary to do that, and so maybe that's just a personality thing. But I think that's why I like dwelling on these aspects of things, that aren't salvific, but that we will only ultimately know the other side of eternity. Does that make sense, what I just said?
No, to a point, because I disagree with that. I think listening to a lot of these spiritual speculations I think there are kernels and truths that have helped me, kind of like a mild form of Bible study, very mild.
Yeah, very mild.
I think there are some truths that are good reminders that can be, and there are some things that I was like, oh man, I was really off my game that day. But there are other times where, especially other people have come in and shared some truths that are helpful reminders that encourage us on the walk.
And I've taken things like that whole ship of Theseus conversation we had with Kitos that one time about when are we no longer human, or whenever we talk about souls or things like that. I find those very valuable, and it propels me into wanting to say more about those things. Anyway, this is getting just very
reflective.
Yeah, self-reflective, self-celebratory. So I think we'll close there. Any other thoughts from Dallas, John, Paul?
Ringo?
George?
Ringo? Like star? Indulgent. That's the word, Bobo. Thank you. Indulgent, self-indulgent.
Indulgence.
No.
Thank you, that sour Bobo.
Bobo, that's our Bobo.
Or that sour Bobo.
That sour Bobo.
Or
there's two B's in the second one, so
that's salvo authority.
Yeah, it's using your salvo authority. Oh my gosh. Oh, none for me, Francisco.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like no for John and Dallas. You're not speaking up, so I assume that's a no.
It's a no.
They had their chance. Move along.
They did. Moving along. Well, thank
But
you.
if you look at Matthew 23 verses 27 through
Get on with
28,
it. Yes, get on with it.
what about the Matthew passages, John?
I was debating whether or not I should bring it up, but because you guys sound like you wanted to get off. But
if it's apropos and you're not just starting some other thing, then that's fine.
No,
it might be apropos to start some other thing.
Well, it was my biblical application to The Nightmare Before Christmas. Because
I thought you said you didn't have one. So
I said I'll probably have one after Dallas speaks.
Well, guess what? Dallas spoke, so now it's after that. So that makes sense, yeah.
But I mean, if you guys want to go
now, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
John.
it's cool. I mean, if you want to quench the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, I think I do want to do that. I've said my piece, and I think I trump the Holy Spirit, so I think we're good.
Wow, oh, this is getting worse. Oh my gosh!
I'm kidding. I am kidding.
I want you to have your best.
I think there's a lot of people on their way to hell saying, "I was kidding."
Can't you take a joke?
Okay.
You ever wonder if people get their messages from God wrong? And like one day when Jeffrey Dahmer was standing before God was like, "No, Jeff, I told you you needed to get out and meet people."
No,
but
what I get it.
Was that your spiritual speculation?
No, my spiritual speculation comes from Matthew 23, 27 through 28. In this movie, Jack was trying.
Can you read the passage if you're
when I get to the point where I want to apply it? I can.
Okay. Well, you said the verse, and so I was like waiting for yours. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's cool. I respected the flow of your spiritual application, but apparently you're going to be the great interrupter for this one.
Yep, you thought right. Good job.
All right.
Please continue with your speculation, John.
A large portion of this movie, after Jack goes to Christmas Land and sees an idealized version of Christmas, which does not portray the birth of our Savior in any way, shape, or form, Jack goes back to Halloween Town and tries to figure out what makes Christmas the way Christmas is. And he's trying to establish some form of Christmas or some kind of Judeo-Christian ideology without centering it on Christ. And as a result, it fails horrifically, which is parallel to the previously mentioned scripture when Jesus was saying, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites, you're like whitewashed tomb on the outside, but inside are full of bones and dead and everything. The same way, on the outside, you appear to people as righteous, but you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness," which is displayed in Jack trying to simulate Christmas without understanding what's at the center of it, and instead trying to apply his own ideologies to this basically religion or concept that he doesn't quite understand. And as a result, his works, he tries to paint it over to make it look like something beautiful, but underneath it all is just a dead man's bones.
Dim bones, dim dry bones.
Were you done?
Me?
Who, me?
Yeah. I was waiting for it. Did you read Matthew and I totally missed it?
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Wow. It's okay. I blinked. I blanked out too. It's okay, Francisco. You can rewind. It's called a retro rewind.
Okay, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna go to it. So I'm reading it while you're saying it, John. Matthew.
Maybe you blanked it out because you didn't like the version I was using. What version do you normally use, Francisco?
NASB.
That's a good version.
NESB?
NA. New American Standard
New America
Bible.
Standard Bible.
They're almost exactly the same.
The New American Standard Bible or the 1995 New American Standard Bible?
I go with 95. I don't know why, but I usually do 95.
Because it has a year next to it. It's more trustworthy. I know when that originated.
Okay, so again, the scripture is Matthew 23, verses 27 and 28. And it says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which on the outside appear beautiful, but on the inside they are full of dead man's bones and all uncleanness. So you too outwardly appear righteous to men, but inwardly you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness."
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. So you're saying that that's tied with Jack because he's trying to look all Christmassy, but on the inside he's just still Halloween.
Mhm.
So he
He's
looks
still-
like the whitewashed tomb, but on the inside he's really still dead.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for helping me connect the dots.
Because he
Really
doesn't
appreciate that.
have an because like the whole concept of this movie was he was trying to understand what made Christmas. But the
Yeah.
problem was what was demonstrated to him was lacking anything having to do with Christ. So
Yes.
so having any sense of religion or morality without Christ will only yield death and destruction, as we saw on Jack's ride.
Okay, then let me ask you this. So that's a great sort of starting point. How is it then that they don't show the film? So I'm speculating this is like extra canon for the film Nightmare Before Christmas. I would guess that there's a little Dallas Mora in the movie that loves the Halloween Town type things and loves to get like a Mickey Nightmare Before Christmas plush in his stocking. So let's say Jack, Jack gives little baby Dallas, claymation Dallas, that present. He does some good. He's shared some Christmas spirit. Why is it that there are people that are just like on the outside, they are whitewashed, but they do good in the community. They're
Are you talking about morally right people?
People, but have no concept of Christ. How is that? Would you say that that's almost like it's all a facade and there's really like, we just see the little snippets that are good, but really there's a lot more worse off going on?
We typically refer to those people as lost.
Okay, fine, lost. What did I call them?
They need to be shown the way.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Francisco, I'm going to flip this question back around on you.
Okay.
To have you answer the question.
Okay.
If those people continue in their ways, performing morally correct, but without accepting Christ as their savior, will they inherit heaven as their eternal home?
No, but that's not what I was trying to get at.
But what I'm saying, though, is without Christ, we are all morally bankrupt, regardless of what our actions are. Because the Bible says that all our good works are like filthy rags. So the good works are meaningless. And not only are they meaningless, but, the Bible talks about it in Luke, where he addresses the people who are like, didn't we cast out demons and do all these wonderful things? And he says, depart from me, you evil doers, because the things you did weren't authorized.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're saying it doesn't matter how good even if they're good 24/7, if they don't have Christ, it really doesn't matter because in the end, Christ is the only way to be.
That's the fulcrum.
Truly saved. Okay. Yeah. So then let me turn back around on you.
Oh my gosh, it's never ending. There's the never.
All right. We'll end it here. I will leave you, our awesome reflex capacitors, with this question. I'd love to hear your answer of it. What happens to the people pre-Jesus? Let's say it's David, Joseph. We've mentioned a few biblical characters pre-Jesus that say had good deeds, but they could never have asked Christ into their hearts to be their Lord and Savior. This is for the patrons.
You're in Abraham's bosom.
this is for the patrons. You're a patron. You get to answer it there, Geek Devotions. Are they saved, or are they forever in Sheol or the grave?
You know, the Bible actually answers that question, right?
Good. Give me the answer in the Partners in Time channel on our Discord. Fantastic. I would love to be educated because I think I'm trying to end it, Paul. Oh my gosh. That's why I'm cutting off Dallas and cutting off John here, because I'm saying, go answer that. I would love to learn, because I guess if that is in the Bible, I'm not familiar with where it points that out. So
you should read it.
The Bible?
Yes, I should always read the Bible. So please
You've
point
been reading
that
that
out
Passion
to me.
Translation, haven't you?
And our Partners in Time channel. No, I haven't read that. Because I would love to learn. I'm sure other people would like to learn too. Oh my god!
Is this added stuff you were talking about? No, I know. It's prolonging. I know. Sorry.
He likes to read the Rick James version.
It really slaps.
I'm going to turn this right round and say thank you so much.
Like a record?
Exactly. I know that's different from Rick Roll, but whatever. Bobo! Okay, we're going to end it there. For me, for Paul, for Dallas, and for John, thank you guys so much for for supporting this content. Hopefully it was of some use to you, or at least you got a good laugh. But for all of us, we bid you all shalom.
That means peace.
All right, there you go.
This is a weak connection.
Gosh.
Will you get
All right.
flagged on Twitch? Probably.
Well, I'm going to end it. So thank you, Neko, Bobo, Rushmore. Who else is here? Cellcast left,
Lamal for his never-ending
Geek
story.
Devotion.
I love you, Rushmore. You guys are amazing.
You guys are amazing.
Probably Kirk.
Well, Kirk or Andy, whichever of you it is.
Or both.
Or both. Thank you all so much for
Andy,
being
his
here.
name's Ben.
I'll see you tomorrow morning for Secret of Mana. Hopefully my voice recovers before then. But until next time, for Stream Face.